Hello, everybody, and welcome in to the Penny Bloom podcast. Today, we continue Winter is Blooming, a Game of Thrones rewatch podcast by us, the Penny Bloom podcast. I'm Colton Robertson. I'm joined by Joseph George. What's up, homie?
Oh, what up, what up? Always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, and it's always a pleasure to have you. And today, we are discussing Season 7, Episode 6, the penultimate episode of Season 7. This one is titled Beyond the Wall. It was written by D&D, David Benioff, and D.B. Weiss, and boy, does it show, and directed by Alan Taylor.
Yeah.
How
Man,
you feeling about it?
we were looking forward to this one, you know? And maybe that's why we were kind of it's a penultimate episode, you know? And every
Yeah.
penultimate episode so far has been quite amazing and also surprising in the fact that like other than the big event that happens during the penultimate, the rest of the episode was stacked and it was
It is a
good.
fucking banger.
But
Yeah.
this one,
You could actually make the argument of the opposite this time. That the big moment was super cool. It's a really big moment. It's really
mhm,
awesome. But every other storyline, which I believe there's one.
it's just Beyond the Wall and Danny. Like that's
Well,
it,
and the
right? Oh,
North
and then
with
Sansa and
Arya,
yeah, Sansa and Arya. Okay, fair
which is
enough.
the part I'm talking about,
Yeah,
is outwardly bad.
it's terrible.
So
Like it was
yeah,
like I
it's
was
not
like,
good.
why? Like yeah, that was my only thoughts while watching this was like, really? Like this is actually how it goes, you know? Like this is just not really it, you know? I guess they're trying to make Arya look, you know, very she's different, she's changed, but like yeah, this battle between Sansa and Arya is just I don't
It's
like it. Yeah.
well, and it ends up like the fact that it feels forced and feels unnatural makes sense. It is forced. It is unnatural. So I guess fuck us. I guess I guess
Yeah.
that's what they're getting at.
I don't
But
know. Yeah, I
I
don't
don't know that that makes for like incredible television. Uh,
mhm.
because the twist next episode is excellent. But the reason it's excellent is because you don't have any single fucking hint of an idea that they are not that they are fucking with him, that
Yeah.
they are down. Like I don't know, man. I
So
don't know.
what happens?
You don't
Yeah,
even have
like
a guess. Like even in hindsight, like we know the twist. We know everything. Usually when that's the case, you can go back and be like, "Ah,
I
this
see
is
where
when
they're
it's going.
coming from.
This
Yeah,
is
or
where
like
it's
this
going.
yeah.
This is." No. They are just writing it so that the twist is a shell shocker. Like it's just like,
Yeah.
"Whoa. What?
Yeah.
I didn't see that coming." Well, of course you didn't. They didn't do anything to let you know it was coming.
And
Uh, and and like it's not like
maybe
letting you know it's coming, but foreshadowing at the very least, like a little something that I can connect to be like, ah,
mhm.
and so it begins.
The
I don't
one
fucking know.
detail I see of maybe why there's some tension between them that I really didn't pick up before was how Sansa was treating John, and then this like betrayal of the family, and like, oh, you're gonna betray John. John is the one who's important to me. I still don't
Mm,
really care about you, Sansa. Whatever. John is the one I care about, and you're gonna betray him, so I'm gonna protect the family. And like,
yeah.
still, even with that, it's not. It's
No, and
still
like
not strong.
that is the part of the story I get the most. Like Arya feels like she's not doing enough to stand by John, and
Hmm.
John like it is what it is. But we will begin there. So how about we get
Hmm.
into the episode
Yeah.
and we really dig into it because we will start at Winterfell where Arya talks to her sister Sansa about borrowing Bran Stark's bow and arrow, a memory she has where she practiced several times. It could have been 20, it could have been 50, she's not sure, until she finally hit the bullseye. And Arya recalls that as soon as she did, she just heard nothing but clapping. And she remembers looking up at Ned,
Hmm.
and he'd been watching. And she knew she'd broken the rules, but he was smiling, so it didn't matter. And this
What a.
was the only interaction of the episode.
Hmm.
This brief part that was good between them.
And it kind of is
Uh,
all sucked away because right at the end of it,
Immediately.
it's like and I read this, and I read this, and now you suck, Sansa. So basically, this nice moment we could have had of a reflection of our father is now turned against you to say how much you're against the family. And it's like, ah, man, like, yeah, like, I don't know, every moment where Ned has been brought up before, it's like almost brought you to tears. Like it's enough just immediately. Like if a Stark is saying something about Ned, it is like,
Right.
okay, that's enough.
And this was close too before, like
Mm-hmm.
when she delivers that line, like, I
Mm,
knew what I was doing was breaking the rules, but his smile let me know that it didn't matter.
mm-hmm.
Like I
That the rules were
he
wrong. Yeah, or
yeah,
something
he
like
wasn't
that.
wrong,
Yeah.
the rules were, and I dug that. I really,
Mm-hmm.
really loved
Yeah.
that. And then genuinely might be the best piece of dialogue in this entire episode.
Fair.
Uh that line. And
Mm-hmm.
then it is immediately, and the thing that really, like, if they would have committed to this storyline and it was a genuine beef between them, it would still feel forced and unnatural, but maybe it would be like, maybe it would culminate in something interesting and I'd feel different about it. I almost feel like because of the twist where they're actually down, it makes this even worse somehow. Um, I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's,
I
I
don't
mean,
know how to
because
explain it.
usually we're in the know of a lot of times when someone is duping someone or someone is, making a play. Usually the
Mm.
audience is in the know on that. But now they're like, oh, we'll get them even more if we don't let them know at all what's happening, and everything happens off screen. Because,
And they do something here where they do allude to Peter feeling like he's in control of the situation. And in that regard, I suppose they are leading you on. I don't think they're leaning into that enough,
mhm, it's
you
not
know?
about
And
Littlefinger at all. This
no,
is, yeah.
in moments like this, they should be showing Littlefinger.
Yes, if he was watching them have this conversation, everything plays out perfectly. Like actually,
Yes.
he doesn't have to say a word. Nothing else has to happen. If he overheard their conversation that they had in the bedroom, like their parents' bedroom, when Arya was like, "You like to wear nice clothes," blah blah blah. If he overheard that, if he overheard this conversation, it all plays out so much better. Like it
And they
makes
just
sense.
never allude to the fact that he's hearing any of it. And, like, I enjoy that moment whenever Sansa's like, I don't enjoy it, but, like, at least it's the tiniest bit of, like, knowing she's playing him. It feels good whenever she's like, "How did she find it? I don't know how she found it." And he's like, "I'm not sure." Like, it's
Yeah. It it just doesn't hit. I don't know. It just doesn't
might
really
be the
work.
worst storyline in this entire show, actually, which is funny to think about.
Actively bad. Like not many. You can't
Not
say
a
that
lot of
many
those
times. Yeah, it
exist
is
in
actively
Thrones.
bad. Like yeah, no bueno.
But yeah, Arya, presents the letter that Sansa had written to their late brother Robb Stark, urging him to come and bend the knee to Joffrey. And she says that it was Cersei who forced her to do this, and Arya's like, "Oh, did they have a gun to your head? Not literally, but did they have a knife at your throat?
Mm-hmm.
Were they threatening to kill you?" And she's like, basically."
Yeah.
And Arya counters that she was not tortured, and she saw Sansa at Ned's execution, and I'd forgotten Sansa had no idea Arya was there.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
whenever she's like, "Oh shit, you were there," and this is one of those, like,
Hmm.
in the context of knowing that they're playing Littlefinger, this is a genuine moment that
Ah.
Sansa's learning something important about Arya.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, "Oh, you
Oh.
were there." Like
Okay.
it's bleeding through a little bit like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, so you're pretty fucked up too, huh?" Um,
Yeah.
and it's not, and there is a difference, watching your father beheaded and hearing that it happened at some point, like, both suck. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong. But being there for it, not great.
No. And
But
luckily Arya got some nice birds or doves in the sky. Sansa got
mhm.
got the whole picture. Um,
She got the whole view.
but you know. I like that back and forth at least, like Sansa being like, you could have never survived what I survived, but then like
Mhm.
we know what Arya survived, so it's like, well, I think it's just their trauma, like competing with trauma right
Yeah,
now.
trauma Olympics
Yeah,
here. Yeah.
and it's like,
Um,
yeah, and
well,
let
and this is a good example of, like, I guess talking through it. It's something that you have to talk through it to like, there is no situation in which Sansa saying this
mm,
is believable. And the same for Arya. Both of them probably would have survived what the other went through. Obviously, Sansa never would have gone through what Arya went through.
mhm,
She would have done completely different things
yeah,
throughout the whole thing. But that's it's it's one of those things it's completely null and void. It does not matter. Like they both know for a fact that the other is strong for surviving what they've survived. They've actually already had that conversation.
really.
When she shows up and they're in the crypt and they're like, "We've
Oh
both
my
been through
God,
hell," you
that's
know?
yeah.
Um,
I guess, yeah. And still, they didn't really get into specifics or anything. It was just we both
yeah,
been through it, sort of thing.
yeah,
And maybe this is
but
I
we're
don't
both
know.
here now,
Yeah.
that sort of shit. Regardless, it's just kinda like a lot of stuff in this episode was really expository. It was extremely heavy exposition, and I feel like this whole fucking sequence is kind of nothing but that. They're just like, remember this event? Remember this event? Remember this event? Yep, yep, yep. Sansa adds that their brother Jon was saved from defeat when Peter and the Knights of the Vale came through to the rescue. He didn't win the Battle of the Bastards. I won the Battle of the Bastards. Again, something we, as the audience, full well know happened.
Hmm.
And, it's,
Yeah.
and I understand that it's informing Arya, but that's
Hmm.
extremely exposition heavy, like, it is what it is. But yeah, Sansa demands to know where Arya found the letter and chides her younger sister that Cersei would be pleased to see them fighting. But Arya is still a bit bitter, and she realizes that while Jon would understand the difficult circumstances Sansa was under when she wrote the letter, Sansa is afraid the Northern Lords will discover it and turn on her, including little Lady Lyanna Mormont. And Arya adds that Lyanna is younger than Sansa was when she wrote this letter, but argues Lyanna would never agree with Sansa's defenses that she was a child at the time. It's like,
Fair point. Fair point. They both had pretty good rebuttals against each other.
oh yeah,
Like
big time.
like whenever Arya was like, "Well, what did you do to stop father's death?" Nothing. And then Arya's like, "Well, I was there too. I saw it." And then Sansa was like, "So you didn't do anything either."
Yeah,
Obviously, we
exactly.
couldn't do anything. We're
Yeah,
two
it
people
happened.
versus in
What
it.
were we
Yeah,
supposed to do?
yeah.
But
But
while recognizing that Sansa wrote the letter out of fear, a bitter Arya says that she prefers to embrace anger over fear. And later on, Sansa asks Baelish about where Arya got the letter from, unaware that Peter orchestrated the entire incident, but also fully aware that he orchestrated the entire incident. And Sansa tells Littlefinger that she is commanding 20,000 men who answer to Jon, but not her. And Littlefinger tells Sansa that the men will trust her because she can rule. And Sansa does not trust the loyalty of the Northern Lords, citing their history of switching sides, which I've noted a couple times throughout this little bit, where they're like, "You should be our queen now.
yeah,
You should be our king. No, wait, he should be our king." Like it's just their whole fucking thing is just being a fucking slut for leadership.
yeah.
Uh,
Rob, yes, you're definitely the king of the North. Ah, you died. Sucks. Uh, Now we got
well,
a
and
Bolton. Yeah,
even before he died, they were like, "Bad choice. Who's our next king?" Like
yeah.
they were they were like, "Oh, you married someone you wanted to marry. Ugh, sorry. Ugh, that's bad. Don't like
True.
that. Who's next?"
Yeah, stuck with the Boltons for a little bit, kind of just we'll skip past. No one really wanted that.
Besides
Um,
there were a few families who rallied behind
I
Bolton.
feel like it was just the fear that the Boltons had. They were like, well, we just kind of have to say okay. Like
Right.
this is well, I
Yeah,
guess some were pissed, like the
there were
Car
2
Starks.
specific
Yeah,
ones that were like, "I would have killed my dad too," and you're like, "Oh, okay."
that's fair.
Um,
Yeah, the Car Starks and
yeah,
who was the other one? The guy who
Carhold?
yeah,
No,
maybe
The Carhold, I think, is where the Car Starks stay, so I don't
was
fucking
it the maybe the
know.
people that turned Sansa down whenever or Sansa and John down whenever they were going to ask
Mm,
that was like
Manderley, maybe? I don't know.
mm,
It sounds
but
familiar. Um, But regardless, Peter suggests that Sansa talk to Brienne of Tarth because she has sworn to protect both of Lady Catelyn's daughters from harm's way. And trusting Baelish, Sansa accepts this advice. And the following morning, Maester Wolkan informs Sansa that they have received a letter from Queen Cersei. Sansa meets with Brienne, who advises her not to leave Winterfell, and instead, Sansa decides to send Brienne as her emissary, since she could reason with Jaime.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's sound logic. And Brienne warns her that this is too dangerous for her to leave Sansa alone in Winterfell with Peter, and Sansa insists that her guards and men are loyal to her, but Brienne warns that Peter might be bribing them behind her back. And Brienne offers to leave her squire Podrick Payne, whose swordsmanship has improved, but Sansa insists she can take care of herself. And again, maybe this is one of those moments where they're trying to be like, she's fine. She's not worried about Peter. You know?
Okay. Yeah, like we got it under control. I thought
Yeah.
I read it more as like, I'm not a little girl anymore. I've been,
No,
like,
and that's the
sort of
way
thing,
she's
but
playing it. You know, like it's only like through the very
Yeah.
specific lens of trying to make the twist good.
Yeah, you really got to do a
You know,
lot of work on your own. Like you really
yeah,
have to
you
think
do.
about that so hard in order for it to make
Because
sense.
it's as simple as like a slight writing choice, a slight acting choice, and not to say Sophie Turner does anything wrong here, but like if there is a moment where she like looks at Brienne and is like, no, I'm fine. You know, like if there
Yeah.
is like a little we've got this. Like if there is something, I don't
Or
know. There's
if
nothing there
Yeah,
though.
or if Littlefinger's doing his little creep thing and listening into this one too, like at the corner of the room or something. But yeah, they don't really give you much. But
Mhm. Yeah, and I guess they've been implying all the time, like through the entire first, or like several seasons of the show, does everything it can to be like Littlefinger knows everything. So like, maybe you're just supposed to know that, but like,
I did when I was on TikTok the other day. I get so many Game of Thrones edits, and usually they're Jon Snow, Daenerys,
yeah,
the usual that you get. But I
you
had
got a
a
little.
I got a Littlefinger edit, and then the comments, oh my God, people like love Littlefinger, and like I think he's a cool character, but like people were like, the Game of Thrones started because of Littlefinger, and he almost was the one who won. And I'm like, I will grant that he did start pretty
He
much
did
all this.
start it.
Like
He
he
was never close to winning.
no, he started it, and then he was like, okay, this is going pretty well for me so far, and he got the veil, he's making his way up.
Mhm. No,
Never
like
was he in
climbed.
contention for the throne, like
He climbed hard. And
yeah,
maybe Book Littlefinger makes it a little further. Maybe he
yeah.
does get a little closer.
That's what people were saying is like Book Littlefinger would have never died. He would have seen this coming from Sansa and Arya, blah blah blah. So, you know,
You know, there's plenty to say about that, but um yeah, following the events of the White Hunt, Sansa enters Arya's quarters and opens a leather case containing several faces, including the late Walder Frey's face.
hmm
And Arya catches her sister pilfering through her personal effects when Sansa tells Arya that her men are loyal to her. And Arya mockingly retorts that they are not here. And Arya tells Sansa, that she obtained the faces from the faceless men of Bravos, and admits she spent time training to be a faceless man.
hmm
And she forces Sansa to play the lying game and begins by asking if she thinks that Jon is the rightful king. And Sansa demands that Arya tell her what the faces are. And Arya replies that they always wanted to pretend to be other people. Sansa wanted to be a queen with a handsome king on the Iron Throne, and Arya wanted to be a knight-like father. And in the end, neither of them got what they wanted. Arya says that the faces allow her to become someone else, anyone she wants. And then this was the point where it's like, y'all are playing your hand a bit too heavy.
hmm
I know that Littlefinger does not see it coming, and that's fine. But that's the other thing that maybe the people on TikTok have right, is that maybe he fucking should have.
I mean, he's always saying like, you have to imagine your
Oh,
enemies playing out
yeah.
every possible
And
thing
maybe his
ever.
ego is
Yeah.
just getting too big and he feels like he's got it too hard, and
Mm.
that's like, maybe that's it. But whenever she's like she alludes to taking her sister's face, I'm like,
All I'd have to
No.
do is take your face. All I'd have to do is kill you, and then I'd only have to kill my sister, and then I could be, ruling the North. It's like, okay, for like,
Then Arya could be Lady of Winterfell, which notoriously she so desperately wanted.
mhm,
Um,
yeah, that's exactly what she wants. Yeah, and we were keeping, the Arya kill list. I put her storyline was killed not by her. It's not Macy Williams. It was D&D here. But man, yeah, this really was the deep end, like the dive off the deep end here. Like it just
and
got
again,
bad.
like because of the twist, it's like they're just null and void. Nothing that happened with them this season matters. They were just playing the long game. Um,
And who knows? Maybe it is real, and then everything just happens off screen in between next to now. I don't know, because I guess he dies at the end. Like that's the very very end of the episode, or
close
no?
to the end of the
Okay.
episode. It's because
Oh, it's
the end
yeah,
is Danny and John fucking.
yeah. Okay, that's right. But I mean it's the conclusion of the North's storyline, at least. Like this is
Yes,
the end of the
yes.
North storyline, and I guess there might be some more that happens between Sansa and Arya in the next episode. I don't know, but they sure haven't done enough to make what they're wanting to work. I don't think it worked as they thought it would end up
And
working.
again, I think it's just slight little choices. Like it's so close to being worthy of that twist. There needs to be the smallest illusions. There needs to be, like we've been saying, Peter around the corner,
Mm-hmm.
a glimmer of knowing in the eyes of Sansa or in the eyes of Arya, like a just something that feels like, wait, what was that? Like a
Mm-hmm.
little bit of like a, well, that was interesting. Like, why would they say that? This is just kind of like, what are they doing? Why would they say that? It's not even really like it's not even really like a why would they say that? Like that's curious. It's like why would they say that? That's fucking terrible.
You kill your
Like
sister? Like, really?
yeah,
You're coming home and you're with the little family you have left, and you're just gonna kill your sister for a position that you don't even want in the first place?
exactly.
You
So like
know?
the first time you're watching this, you're going, what the fuck? Like it's not even.
Mm-mm.
And maybe on the first viewing, the twist is hard hitting because of that.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you don't see it coming. Like
Yeah,
that. We
not
will
at
give
all.
D&D credit for that. I don't think it's
Yes,
done the right
they
way,
didn't
but
do shit to let
mhm.
you know that was coming.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. It is a complete 180. And
yeah,
I think it's just a matter of they know they needed to kill Littlefinger at the end. Let's work backwards and see what we can do. Or so, I don't know. It just didn't seem like they thought this one out very, very
no,
much.
it didn't. It didn't. But regardless, Arya approaches Sansa with her dagger and relents and leaves a
Hmm.
disturbed Sansa alone. But and that concludes the storyline in the North. A storyline which has been like it was like really good for 2 episodes, and then it's been absolutely nothing, and then it goes slightly up at the end of the season. Like I like when they kill Littlefinger, but that's
Yeah,
the end of that storyline. I'm extremely interested to see what happens the entire time before that next episode. Um,
yeah. Because I know in like the
Maybe there
throne
is
room.
something that I'm not remembering that's like a little bit more like
Hmm.
wink, like it's coming. But even so, it should have already been happening.
Not in the finale
Yeah.
of the season. So, yeah, I don't know. I'll keep a close eye, but I don't think there. My guess is that there isn't anything.
No,
Um,
I doubt it. But that brings us to the White Hunt. We're at Dragonstone. Queen Daenerys Targaryen and her hand Tyrion Lannister chat in the Chamber of the Painted Table. We love the Chamber of the Painted Table here.
hmm.
Um, but Daenerys tells Tyrion that she appreciates the fact that he is not a hero. And he's like, well, I've been a
Oh,
hero.
he was like, "Oh, thanks." Like it was like,
Well,
"Oh, I mean, I
let's
try
okay.
sometimes." Yeah, it's like,
Um,
and she goes, "Oh, no, don't. I didn't choose you because you were a hero. I chose, because you're smart and you won't go off and die. Heroes do stupid things." Um,
yes.
I like the pull through
Here,
that we get here,
she
though, with it.
compares
But
Tyrion favorably to heroes such as Drogo and Jorah and Dario and this Jon Snow.
yeah,
Um, almost like an afterthought, even though he is the most front of mind.
Mm-hmm.
And Tyrion sees right the fuck through that. But this little thing they do with the writing here, where Tyrion, slightly amused, recites that back to her, is something they do like 4 fucking times in this episode.
With Tyrion and Dany, or just like
no. And that's what makes it particularly bad, is that it is across the stories with a bunch of different characters, where there's one later where he's like, Beric says like, maybe that's enough. And Jon goes, maybe it is, maybe that is enough. And it's like, you need to use a different writing tool. Not every character speaks the exact same way. That is not how writing characters works. I think, and that's just the one that's coming to mind. But I remember thinking like, what do we do? Like, again? And I think it happened 2 more times, or maybe just 1. But regardless, it was just one of those things where I was like, it just keeps happening.
Yeah. The D&D.
Regardless, this was a good use of that.
Yeah, no, this
was
one
funny
of them too. This one was like funny, and it's like, okay, Daenerys, obviously you're thinking about Jon. So this one works. The thing. Yeah.
Any one of them would have worked. It's the fact that like there's 3 or 4 of them that made me go like, what is going on here? Regardless, it's more of a, when it's all the sum total of the episode rather than the specific instances of it, because this was, I liked this, the way Peter Dinklage plays it. And he's like, and this Jon Snow, they're all in love with you. And Dany's like, Jon Snow is not in love with me, which I loved that she's like, yes, the first 3, absolutely. But the 4th one, no. And Tyrion kind of gives her shit again, I'm sure he just looks longingly at you because of his great need for you to defend the North with him.
Yeah.
And, she thoughtlessly recites back to him, he's a bit too little for me.
Damn. Second one where Tyrion's like, oh, like, he's not even trying to like, get.
No, he's not trying to get in.
Yeah, purely platonic there, that he is the hand, for whatever. But just Tyrion's kind of getting dunked on a little bit, and Daenerys is like, oh no, that's not what I meant.
I didn't mean, she's like,
does she mean literally, or just like he's not a worthy, like,
she means this is literal. This was a little bit of a fourth wall, not a fourth wall.
Kit Harington himself is just,
Kit Harington's short. Okay. And that was like a big point of discussion for several years, was that like Kit Harington's a little dude.
Emilia Clarke's 5'2".
I've told you about this. There's I don't think you've ever watched the movie Mike and Dave Need Wedding Dates. I think I've told you about this. Zac Efron, Adam Devine, Aubrey Plaza, Anna Kendrick. There's like they do like a blooper reel for the credits, which is the sign of a truly good comedy. But it's in 2016, so it takes place in between, like it was filmed between seasons 5 and 6, while Jon Snow was dead.
I think this is coming back a little bit now.
Yeah, and Zac Efron's like, God damn, I need to catch up on Game of Thrones. I'm way behind. And Adam Devine goes, Jon Snow, he's dead. He's like, he's dead? And Adam Devine goes, fuck that dude. I'm taller than him anyways. That's
damn. Yeah, what was he? He was 5. He's 5'6"?
Right, 5.
Oh, 5'8".
6?
5'8".
He's not short. He's not that short.
5'8". Emilia Clarke's 5'2". So
Emilia Clarke is little.
Yeah.
And granted, when you take into account the men she has been with,
fair enough.
Drogo is quite large.
Yeah.
That is quite the behemoth of a man. And Daario, he's a towering presence. I'd imagine he's quite tall. Probably 6'2".
Let's see.
At least Ed Skrein was. I don't know about Michael Huisman.
There it is. I didn't know his name. Huisman? Yeah, well, Drogo.
Huisman.
Drogo stands at 6'4". So
yeah,
it's
a big dude.
Yeah, and good old
Daario
Naharis is 6 feet. It says just around 6 feet. I guess, well, that's Daario, but actor-wise, yeah. But yeah, it's fair enough, I guess. 5'8" is a little bit of a difference from what she has had.
I mean, at least 4 inches and then almost a foot on the other one. So, like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like that is quite the difference. But regardless, it was a funny little interaction here where she's like, I didn't mean. He's like, don't even fucking try. But you know, Daenerys also recognizes that Tyrion is no coward. She wouldn't have named him Hand if he was a coward.
Mm-hmm.
And then the two of them turn their attention to the topic of their impending meeting with Queen Cersei in King's Landing. And Tyrion admits that Cersei cannot be trusted and could be setting a trap for them. And then Daenerys is like, "What about us? Are we setting any traps for them?" She's like, "You got anything in mind?" And Tyrion's like, "I don't think we should do that. I think that sets a bad precedent for what you're trying to do here." And Daenerys is like,
What war
"But
has
I feel
not
like I
been
might
won?
have
Yeah, she's like,
to."
what war has been won without deceit and mass murder, sort of thing.
And Tyrion brings up a really good point here.
Mm-hmm.
Like you mentioned to me that you want to break the wheel. You know, you're not, and your ancestor
Mm-hmm.
Aegon created that wheel. He's the reason that wheel exists.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to break that wheel, what you are aiming to do will probably not be achievable in the time that you're alive. In fact,
Yeah.
and that obviously, breaches a sensitive topic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She's like, "Oh, you've been preying on my downfall, then, huh, Tyrion?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "No, that is ludicrous. I've
Mm-hmm.
done nothing but devote myself to you."
Yeah. I'm planning for the long term with you, Daenerys, and
Oh
and
yeah,
she
but if
takes that as
you'd have thought of the short term, maybe we would have kept Dorne and Highgarden, you little bitch.
yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, there
yeah, she really suns his ass here.
I feel like this is any ruler and hand like this is just the conversations they will always have. Like they will have to get mean with each other a little bit because the truth has to come out. Like
Mhm.
this is like it is a fair point to worry about her succession and what's going to happen after she does have the throne, but Daenerys a great point as well, being like we have to get there first,
I'm
like
not even on the throne
yeah,
yet. Don't
like
concern yourself with that until I'm there. And
mhm.
that is entirely fair. That
Oh
is
yeah.
probably something Tyrion should not be considering at the moment.
And,
Um,
with House of the Dragon, it's like part of getting the throne is your succession that is lined up, is a big part of it. But this is, I
that's
think, just
true.
a completely different sort
Yeah,
of
no, like
time.
Tyrion is
And,
posing an idea like you say you're not going to have children, and that's cool. I think in order to win over the favor of a lot of Westerosi lords, you'll have to have a plan in place,
yeah.
which is again also a fair point. Like that is
Yeah, he's like there's have been other elections. Like I love how like an election is so foreign to them. He's like, yeah, the Night's Watch has like their own way of picking a
way.
leader. Yeah, the Iron Islands have their own way, and it's like weird. That's like fucking so bad that they do that they vote for their leader and everything. That sucks, but I guess we could do that maybe. And
Well, no, and what's funny is I don't think he's entirely dismissive of the idea of a democracy, sort of. Not a direct
mhm,
democracy, but what they end up concluding, what they end up coming to
that's
by the
true.
end of the show
Yeah.
is probably what he's already thinking about here, which is a cool little
Mm, yeah.
connection to the end of the show, is that's probably what he's already trying to consider is like, I've watched year after year the successors happen, and every time it's a fucking disaster, so maybe we could just fucking
Yeah.
pick. um
I wonder if that's how well, in real history, I think people just eventually got fed up and were like, all right, we're a little smarter now. We're not just going to obey every order you say. So, like, yeah, I don't know if that's exactly how it went in history, but I love that in Game of Thrones history, it's just they had just a terrible line of succession and they're like, all right, we got to do something. Like,
yeah,
something's
they're like,
got to change.
fucking
Yeah.
A.
Like, even,
Like
even the best
first we
ones.
had Robert. Robert took the throne, which is
Mhm.
already, like we want to avoid that at all costs. If we can avoid war, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Um,
But he did kill
but
the Mad
then
King.
his son was the fucking worst, an absolutely terrible person who had to be assassinated. And when he was assassinated, his little brother took over, who was the the most easy to manipulate little piece of shit there ever was.
Mhm.
Great kid, so easy to manipulate, and thus we had a whole fucking theocracy take over
That's
the city for a while, which
fair.
ultimately led to, guess what? Another mass murder. That's what had to happen.
Mhm.
So if we could avoid all that, that'd be great. Yeah, that sounds pretty good. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I would like that.
And then even the shining example. Finally, we have one. Daenerys, you're gonna break the wheel. Yes, we're gonna do it. Oh, close,
Ah,
close. But
not quite.
yeah. Who do you think killed more in King's Landing? Cersei in one go with the Sept boom, or Daenerys? Yeah, she probably killed way more. I mean, that was
Daenerys killed like a lot more people than Cersei did in the Sept.
yeah, she did. Yeah. Because I was gonna say,
Yeah,
up to
no,
this
that one.
point, either Blackwater or the Sept was probably the one event that killed most people in just one go. Like maybe a war or Robert's Rebellion killed
Yeah,
more
yeah,
people over time, but like in one go, probably there. But then Danny, yeah,
yeah, and
takes the
at
cake.
least a long fucking time. Like I have a feeling like Aegon's conquering probably scorched a lot of motherfuckers in that time. You know,
That's
like
true. He,
that's probably what happened.
yeah, and I don't know. I think we're getting a series. I don't know. That's been like teased so long or so many times of like we're gonna get Aegon's conquering and then now we're getting the whatever the fuck it's called. I don't know. Some weird title that like I can never remember for whatever's like in the works right now. Other
Duncan and
than
Egg.
yeah, that's it. That's right. Duncan and
I'm hyped
Egg.
for Duncan and Egg.
Hey, I'm down for
Um,
anything they got to
yeah,
release. Anything that's coming from George R. R. Martin, I'm cool. I'm
I'm
cool
in.
with. So
I'm in. But yeah, no, like it's just I would as far as what we witness in the show, like a single event in which the most people are killed is definitely Daenerys's burning of the city. Because she doesn't just hit like a 4 or 5 block radius. She goes and just like we're talking. I don't like a 45-minute tear of burning the
Eesh.
entire goddamn
Yeah,
city.
and is it like the
Um,
most populated city in like Westeros too? One
Oh
of
yeah,
them for
most densely
sure.
populated. There's like
Yeah.
millions and millions of people here. Um,
Yeah. I guess we have a season to get there, but
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
no, that sucks. That really does. Hard, and I will grant, you know, we've talked about how like it is not entirely surprising she ends up taking that action. She has always been quick to be like, why don't I just go and fuck it up? You know,
Mm-hmm.
I could be on the throne by tonight.
Mm-hmm.
I could be the queen in 2 hours,
Yeah.
you know?
She said it
Like
multiple times. I mean, multiple times she has
and
been
and
wanting to.
it's always been Tyrion, it's always been Jorah, it's always been somebody who's been like, maybe we should take a different course of action. It's been Jon even at a couple points now. Um,
Yeah. I think Barristan Selmy maybe even at one point. Maybe got in a little word there. Yeah, talking about like her father being like, "Hey, your
mhm,
father actually was a piece of shit. Let me tell you, I was with him."
yeah.
And yeah, so
But I will grant this. Now that we are 7 episodes away from that, not even 6. We are 6 episodes away from that. It is pretty fucking quick. Like, and I know it is just a snap. It is just an all of a sudden,
mm-hmm.
oh, never mind. Fuck this. I'm there. And it the other side of that argument, and I know we're probably going to have this conversation again when we get to that episode,
Mm-hmm.
is that kind of has to be what happens. It
Uh
can't really be, "Well, I'm just going to go do it." Like as far as making it compelling,
yeah. It's gotta be a
it
snap.
does have to be
Yeah.
like, you know what?
Fuck it.
Fuck it. Like
Yeah.
it kind of does have to be that way.
Mm-hmm.
So I go back and forth. Frankly, I think I'll find that I like the choice. I don't
Yeah.
think I'll like the season. I think I'll like the choice though.
Technically, Daenerys did break the wheel by
Yeah.
showing everyone it's time for a change.
You did break the wheel.
Like Cersei, people were probably like, okay, maybe time for a change. This one was clear. It was like, okay,
We need a change.
world's got it. We basically have to restart King's Landing anyways, so we might as well just restart our whole political system as well.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
no, it's regardless. You know, Daenerys wonders whether, given that Cersei will almost certainly be attempting to double cross them, they should be planning something similar. And you know, Tyrion's like, I don't know, you talk about breaking the wheel rather than merely imitating prior rulers like Aegon, and cautions her, you've been known to be quite impulsive and have quite the temper. Speaking of what I was just saying.
hmm
And she's like, impulsive? When have I been impulsive? He's like, I don't know. What happened last episode?
yeah,
You killed the Tarleys, and she's like, they had their choice. He's like, yeah, you could have killed the dad. You should not have killed the son. And she's like, what would you have had me done? Well, you see, sometimes these things are better and choices are made better if they have time to think about it. And you didn't give them a fucking second. They just committed to their deaths, and you let them die. And that's on you, And I appreciated Tyrion kind of being like, you could have thought through that a little more.
yeah.
And
He was
Daenerys
fucked
being
up
like,
about
fuck
that.
that.
He was drinking with Varys in the throne room, like,
Mhm.
that wasn't me, right? Like, I like, not me.
I'm not
So,
responsible for
yeah, I
that,
think this
am
is
I?
him just being like, hey, not again. Like, we don't do that,
Yeah.
sort of thing. But yeah, I don't know. Dick on is just kind of Dick on, though.
Dick on.
I don't
Dick
know.
on Charlie. Regardless. That was the end there, and we'll now head north of the Wall, where Jon Snow and his ranging party travel through the lands beyond the Wall on their mission to capture a White. And Gendry complains about the bitter cold and asks Tormund about life as a wildling. And Tormund's like, "Oh, the key is, keep moving.
Mm,
Walking's good, fighting's better, fucking's best."
yep.
And someone's like, "There's not a woman for miles and miles and
Maybe my
miles."
line from Tormund right here, looking straight to Gendry and saying, I guess we'll have to work with what we got then, and Gendry just being like, he's like, I don't know what I signed up for, do I? Like, he's like, I really just signed up for this willy-nilly, no thought behind it. But no, I mean, I guess, I don't know, could have happened off screen, whenever they were huddling up for warmth. I don't think so,
Mhm.
but, I think all those guys there are a little
Headcanon.
too, yeah. They just,
Headcanon is that Tormund just gets down. Tormund might be the Oberyn Martell of the Wildlings.
I could see it. But he does say, I got a woman. I'm waiting on one.
Yeah.
Tall, the babies we could create. And then the Hound's
And
like,
the Hound's like,
what?
"You're talking about
Brienne
Brienne of
fucking
Tarth?
Tarth?
Yeah, I fucking know Brienne of Tarth. You know Brienne of Tarth?"
Yeah.
And these are the sorts of things that I like the sentiment of, but like the literal execution of is kind of questionable in
Yeah.
terms of just dialogue writing. It's
Mm-hmm.
fine. It's not like it's actively bad, but it's just kind of like, it's
Like,
kind of eye rolly, like you're kind of like, okay,
yeah, it
it's
is just
all right.
this group of people that are here. The amount of storylines that are just crossing over, the amount of
Yeah,
overlap that there is,
smashing together.
yeah, it is crazy. So
And
they're
that's
trying.
like that's what they want to do. They want to provide you an interaction between Tormund and the Hound.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great fucking idea. Love the concept, and I think that what they generally do with the conversation, good job. You did a good thing here. Beric and Jon get their word, and Jorah and Jon bond, which is actually probably the best part of these
It was almost
interactions.
my scene. I almost put it for my scene. In it, but it was just too small. It's like it's just
Mhm.
this
Agreed.
small moment, but it was nice. Like
And
just
that's the thing, is that like they were so concerned with that concept we were discussing, with that idea of
mm,
being like, look at all this Mod Podge of characters that you never thought would interact. Here they are.
the amount of fan
If they
service
could
we
have
can
if they
deliver.
could have focused
Yeah.
on the conversations that like mattered, it would have been cool. And I
Mm-hmm.
appreciate a bit of levity. This is a pretty heavy episode, so like I like that Tormund and the Hound get their little bit in, and but mostly just more Jorah and Jon could have been really, really beneficial.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. talking. They were both talking their fathers. It was
Mm.
like they're already having that good moment, and then John just being the guy he like. Were they just gonna? Was the idea if Jorah did take that sword that John just takes Jorah's current sword, or does John just go unarmed? Is he just like I'm just
Imagine he's got like a backup situation going on. Like he's probably got like a dagger or some shit. They've all got like those
Yeah,
little dragon glass daggers that I think Jorah is actually using. So I
yeah.
imagine it would have been a little bit of like a
Okay, yeah, true. But I mean,
slide that
yeah,
my way real
this
quick.
wasn't obvious. Like he's not gonna give it. Like Jorah's not gonna take that
No, no,
sword.
no, no. Like they weren't just gonna all of a sudden make Longclaw fall out of the hands of John. Like that didn't make
Yeah,
sense. But it is a great character moment for John, as that is the right thing to do. It was
yeah,
it was a very Ned Stark moment, and we even get a little mention here where Beric says, "You don't look much like your dad. I bet you look more like your mom."
yeah. Huh. Interesting there. You're right. You're 100% right, Barrick. Just little do you know. Um, maybe does he look like Rhaegar at all?
No, I mean Rhaegar's got the fucking
Yeah, not.
pearl
I
white
mean, just
hair.
other than hair. Yeah, no, he doesn't really have any features of Rhaegar
Mhm.
whatsoever. So yeah, it really is just Lyanna. Um,
Yeah, but yeah, regardless, Tormund and John end up having another discussion here as well, where Tormund later confides that he's like, "I think this was fucking stupid," basically, and John's like, "Yeah, this, but it will be important. It'll get us in with both queens and hopefully get us help up here." And he's like, "So you're concerned about getting in with the queen, huh? Um, think you got that on
yeah,
lock,
yeah.
homie. I think you got it. I think you're in there." And John's kind of like, "I don't know, man. Like she wants me to bend the knee, and I don't think I can do that." And this was interesting. I think it's important that it comes from Tormund,
Yeah.
where he says, like how many like wildling trait. You got
Mm-hmm.
too much time spent with the wildlings. You'll never bend the knee again. It's another little example of something that I think is a bit too expository. Um,
Hmm.
a little bit too
Yeah.
like the next thing he says is fine, but like being like too much time with the wildlings, you'll never want to bend the knee again. Like
It's like
if you've
that.
been watching the show, you
That's
fucking know that.
the whole point of
Like
his North storyline. What he learns from Mance Raider. That is the one lesson, the one takeaway. At least he learns more from Mance Raider than that. But like that is the biggest one to take
yeah. So
away.
that's my thing, is that like that was a little too on the nose for me. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I know that. And I don't know. It's like he's explaining that to John. At least earlier with Sansa and Arya, it was stuff Arya didn't know.
Yeah, this is clearly both people know. You
Yeah,
didn't bend the knee. You basically led the wildlings as well. You became
yeah,
Mance Raider for
you
us.
get it. Yeah, like
Yeah. Um,
but the next thing he says, how many men died for Mance's pride?
mhm.
We've seen a softer side to Tormund that shows that he values the lives of his people more than anything, which I think is important here. I don't entirely believe this would be his sentiment either, though.
That he would still be hard pressed on like, oh yeah, no, you can't do that. Like that you can't bend the knee, or that,
I
um,
believe that he wouldn't be so like, you oughta. He's telling him like,
yeah. I think it,
you
it
should bend the knee.
it might be like during the time while Mance was alive. Fuck yeah, don't bend the knee. That's what we're all about. We're not even south of the wall yet, sort of thing. It's like, yeah, I'm full with it. But now, like after it's happened and they can reflect, it's like maybe that wasn't the best idea. Like maybe, like I don't know.
Yeah, while the wildlings have expanded John's mind, perhaps John has expanded Tormund's a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Or the Westeros just being south of the wall has expanded his mind a bit, being like, oh, y'all kind of living civilized down here, like
Yeah, you guys have it actually really nice. He's been in a castle. Think about that. He's
yeah,
been outside his whole life. Maybe in a cave. Maybe in a cave,
yeah. They have
Like
little
no,
huts and
that's
stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
fair enough. They do have little huts and stuff, but they don't have, you know,
No, we're not talking stone structures that
yeah.
tower over, like
Yeah.
And I also like when he got north of the wall, he's like, I can finally breathe again, like that shit air you're breathing as Southerners,
Hmm.
But regardless, yeah, no, like it was more that expository info dump I felt was a little like unnecessary. I was like,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
again, I just kind of rolled my eyes a little bit, but I did appreciate that sentiment coming from Tormund, being like, maybe you should, Ultimately, I did
Yeah.
appreciate it. I want to make that clear.
Yeah.
I did have some qualms with it coming. There was nobody else who it could come from though, so it's like it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But while walking, Gendry also confronts the Brotherhood without banners about selling him off. And the Hound sneers that Gendry should be grateful that he is still alive and points out that this man's been killed 6 times. How about you quit fucking bitching?
Yeah, what was his
Uh,
word? Like whimpering or
it's
something. Yeah, like
yeah,
oh, I don't know. He's
I
like,
can't
you're
remember.
still moving your mouth and complaining. That's
That's
blah or whatever it was,
yeah,
Uh,
with way
wet. Yeah, it started with a W, I
it
think.
did. It did.
But yeah, I don't know. I that was pretty funny though. Of them being like, yeah, we've all been through some shit, man. Like sounds like
Move the
you.
fuck
Yeah,
on.
sounds like you went through something pretty nice. Melisandre, was she naked too? Yes. Oh, sounds pretty good so far. He's just
Put
playing it off as
leeches
if
on my
it's
body.
nothing. Yeah.
Oh, this guy's been killed 6 fucking times. Nut up. I thought that was funny, but
Yeah.
regardless, not entirely sure what to think of this particular revelation. Gendry accepts a drink from Thoros' wineskin. And while walking, Jon and Jorah also chat about the relationships with their fathers. They were both good, honorable men and did not deserve their deaths. And, Jorah being like, I can't think of a worse way for him to go. And Jon being like, I hate that he went out like that.
Yeah.
It's how Jon went out.
Oh no.
It's
Oh
also how
no.
Jon died.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he hates
So
that,
he's like,
obviously.
yeah. No, like, and obviously he hates it for Gior, but like, he literally knows what it's like to go out like that. Like, there's not many people who can be like, yeah, I know what it's like to be murdered by my men. Like,
Yeah, no. Beric, if he was murdered by his own men, which I guess every time it's
I don't
kind of
think it was
just,
ever mutiny,
yeah,
you know?
exactly. So yeah, no, I think this is the only guy who could understand what Gior went through during that
Yeah.
moment. So damn.
I hate, and that's what he says. He goes, I hate that he died that way. Like, and I'm
Mhm.
sure he already did, but like literally knowing what that's like must be even worse,
Ooh,
but
yeah.
Jon tries to return Jorah's sword. uh Longclaw, he replaced the wolf or replaced the bear with the wolf, but it's still Longclaw, and Jorah lets him keep it and tells him that he should pass it on to his future children as well. A lot of mention this episode of future children.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically in relation to Jon and Daenerys, which they
Hmm.
knew what they were doing, and I think it's hysterical that they were just like, never mind, fuck that.
Yeah, it's like, Daenerys, she can't, I don't know, she had a kid with Drogo, but there was blood magic during that, like and that baby just got, whatever happened to
Was
that baby.
part of that thing that she was part of that spell that she would never be able to bear children
I
again?
think it was just, that's what was told.
Like
I
when
don't,
the sun rises in the
oh,
west and sets, or the sun rises in the east and sets in the west, sort or other way
okay.
around.
Yeah, maybe that's it then. Yeah, I think, um, but I guess, like, maybe it is just she's so scared to try again. She does not, want that to happen again. But say, you know, it's all about Daenerys and Jon. Maybe they're just supposed to have a kid. Like she can't have a kid until it's with the right person.
Maybe.
And
I mean,
but
but anywho, it's funny that that is clear. I feel like that is abundantly clearly what they're trying to do, especially given that they have sex at the end of next episode.
hmm
That was part of the idea.
yeah,
They were like, because if I recall correctly, I don't think it was confirmed that season 8 was going to be the last season until well after season 7 ended.
really,
I don't think they went into season 7 like
yeah.
we've got 2 left. If I recall correctly, I might be wrong.
Did they? Because I
Um,
thought I remember knowing that it was 7 episodes and 6 episodes during season 7. I feel like. Um, maybe that's all they released though. Maybe that it wasn't the end, but I think they released. I don't know. I feel like I remember knowing that both seasons were gonna be shorter, but yeah, I'm not positive on that. Um,
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm trying to figure out. Okay. Earliest stuff. Okay. There was a trailer March 5th, 2019, which is a
okay.
month before the season 8 premiere. The date was officially set for season 8, January 13th, 2019.
Hmm.
Let's see. Let's see if that article gives me any more cuz now I'm curious. Now
Yeah.
I'm going to do all this research live on the
The
air. I'm
premiere
sorry about
on
that, but I'm going to do
2019.
it.
I see.
Um,
I don't. This is Wikipedia. This just does not seem right. HBO announced the eighth and final season in July 2016. Is
I
that?
mean, that would have been prior to season 7, so
I feel like I
if you feel like you knew, that would have been right.
it that felt right. That I at least the
When
number of
when did they
episodes.
announce
The how
with
many
that announcement, did they announce that was the length as well?
consists? Yeah, the A season consists of only 6 episodes. Um.
Interesting.
Oh yeah, and yeah. Um. Hmm. That's.
I don't know what the fuck they're cooking then. So, were they just, like, foreshadowing for something they knew full well was not going to happen?
I mean, honestly, I think it's they knew the big beats. They were trying to end the show, and they're just like, we don't know how the fuck to do this. Like, let's try, let's just try I don't know. Like, they are definitely going in the direction of them having kids. Like, they
There's just so much said about it. Like, it is she says to him,
you understand.
directly to him,
Mm-hmm.
I they were my only children. I will never have children, and like, on the nose a little bit more, you're like, okay, well, she's straight up saying she will never have children, so maybe we should take that at face value. But like, they're doing a whole fucking storyline where they're subverting the expectation solely for the reason of subverting the expectation. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
it's another Sansa and Arya maybe situation of
but
obviously
the
they're gonna have
opposite.
kids, so whenever it comes out that they're not gonna be together and John, does her in, it's like maybe I don't know. Yeah, maybe they're trying for another complete
I
180,
wish
but
I wish I knew what the writers' room was like. I wish I knew at what point they were like, oh wait, maybe John wouldn't be down to fuck his aunt.
yeah, it has to be done unknowingly. Like he cannot know, like
Yeah, the North's. Oh yeah, he was raised in the North. They're weird about that. Um, Shit. Like it's
mhm.
got to be something like that. Like they had to have been like, oh
Oh,
fuck.
wait,
Like
they actually are related. Yeah, like
yeah.
yeah,
No, I
yeah.
don't know. Like I at some point, like it is bizarre. I've never really been anti season 8 of Thrones, and I'm still not anti season 8.
The closer we're getting though, it's
It's incredibly obvious that it's far worse.
mhm.
But anywho, later on, Sandor and Tormund trade jabs about sex, and Tormund learns the word dick. Um,
Yeah, it's kind of funny. He's never
he
heard the
likes it.
word dick. Yeah, he's like,
I'm sure you do.
I like it. Yeah, that was pretty good.
That was good. That
The
was
Hound and
good.
Tormund were actually pretty good,
Oh,
together
dude, it was
here.
great. It was
Yeah.
great. And again, and that's the thing is that like I feel like everything could have benefited from. This is one of those really good examples where if this wasn't a 7-episode season,
Mm.
this would have been an entire episode storyline.
Them just
They're
getting
traveling,
there.
and
Yeah.
these conversations would have absolutely been an
Think about it.
entire
In
episode.
this one episode, they go north of the wall, get the walker, get the White Walker. They are trapped on the thing. Daenerys or Gendry runs back. They send a raven to Daenerys. Daenerys flies all the way beyond the wall to save them, all in one episode.
Yeah.
That is like
That's at
beyond
least 2
fast.
episodes worth in a 10-episode season.
Oh yeah.
At least.
Oh yeah.
And probably 2 episodes. But yeah, no, like, that's the thing is that this entire episode could have benefited from being 2 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
It just could have. But yeah, so, like, all these little interactions, they're fine. They're just they don't breathe. They don't it's just, "Oh, check this out. Check this out. Check this out. Check this out." And, because then Beric and John have their conversation about having been revived and how Beric was sent by his father to go get the mountain in season 1. Like, that was I remember that. Like, that was a big
Mm-hmm.
thing. And, he tells him that he is fighting for life because death is the first and last enemy. It is inevitable.
Yeah. And maybe
The enemy
that's
always
all.
wins.
Yeah. We just have to
But
fight.
that is why we must fight it.
Yeah.
Um,
Defend the defenseless, or whatever.
Yeah.
And
He's just saying a bunch of stuff that John has already thought, which is this is one of those examples where it's good. Like, it's like you know what? Yeah. He's like, you're right.
mhm.
We really out here for real. This is why I'm alive,
Yeah.
And John reflects on the Night's Watch oath being the shield that guards the realms of men. He's like, "Aye, maybe that's enough."
Yeah.
And then Sandor sees the mountain from his vision lying ahead, and he's like, "Yep, I fear we're close." And then, while trudging through a snowstorm, John and his party sight a massive bear with blue eyes approaching them, and the snow bear turns out to have been resurrected by a White Walker, and the monstrous creature mauls and kills 3 of their company, hilariously, 3 of their company who did not exist prior to this scene.
Yeah. Yeah, that was very just a bunch
There's
of
like 5
people.
extra dudes who they do not show leave the wall, which is hysterical also, and another example of something being extremely convenient.
Yeah, because every time someone died, I'm like, wait a minute, is that someone important? Oh
Is
no,
that
it's just
someone who
just
nope,
another
nope, just
throwaway.
some
Yeah.
guy who they've decided is here now.
And when they did walk through the wall, they did have like I think I saw like 2 extras or maybe 3. They were like
Oh, really?
pulling like their supplies or something like that
Ah.
at the end. So, but definitely not as many that died. Like I was like,
I'm
"Oh
pretty
man,
sure
they
like
have another
5
one."
dudes die.
Yeah. Yeah, and in the deaths, it does say 6 wildlings and night watchmen. So, I guess 6 people
6.
died that were not.
I thought I was overshooting it with 5, so that's crazy.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, this deaths is kind of oh. Yeah, the deaths on this one. We have Thoros, sad, Viserion, a big one.
Yeah.
Benjen, which D&D call Cold Hands, which is interesting. Has he ever been called Cold Hands in the show?
No.
In the after, like inside the episode, they just refer to him as Cold Hands, and I'm like, have I been
Who are you
missing that
talking
the whole time? And yeah, it was Benjen. I don't know why they just didn't say Benjen.
D&D, it's fascinating. I used to watch those too
Mm-hmm.
back when like the show was going on, and the creator's intentions are absolutely important. They taught me that the creator's intentions is not everything.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Sometimes they'd be talking about something, and I'd be like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
That's
I'd be
what
like,
you
"What the
meant?
fuck are you
Yeah, like
talking about?"
that's the road you were going down? I'm like, man.
That's what you were thinking, right? Like, even when they were whenever they wrote something good, like even when they wrote something that I enjoyed, whenever they were like, "Well, here's why we wanted to do it," I'm like, "Why the fuck is that? Why you wanted to do it?" I'm like,
Yeah.
"What? How'd you arrive there?" But nevertheless, yeah, they're a fascinating duo of creatives.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they, but anywho, they're fighting this bear, and Beric and Thoros manage to set the snow bear alight with his flaming sword, but it continues to attack, and forcing Thoros to get in its way when it attacks Sandor, who is too terrified of the flames, tries to defend him, and Thoros is unable to break free of its jaws until Jorah kills it with a dragon glass dagger.
Mm-hmm.
And Beric cauterizes Thoros' wounds with his flaming sword after a brief exchange where, Beric's like, "You all right?" And he's like, "Well, I was just bit by a dead bear."
Yeah. Yeah, when I was in Colorado recently, and the threat of a bear was actually like, you do not leave
Real.
food or anything in the car or anything at all, because a bear will come and get it. So we were, I don't know, like, you think of a grizzly bear, I think the idea is you run. You just run zigzags, ideally uphill if you can. Running from a grizzly. A black bear, I think you try to hold your ground. I think is what you do, or something like that. You try to just get as big as you can and hold your ground. A polar bear, they just say good luck. There's nothing you can do against a polar bear. If you're in the presence of one, you're done. And then it hit me like this episode, a dead polar bear or an undead polar bear and a giant one at that. I think I'm accepting
Yeah.
my fate
That thing was
here.
fucking huge.
Yeah.
And I appreciated like in a series where this is 2 episodes, this is the culminating event. This is the last thing that happens, you know? And it's just kind of something that's sprinkled in there.
Mhm.
It's just boop,
Yeah.
yep. They fought a giant fucking bear. 4 people
And
died. None of them mattered.
and it seemed that Thoros like came away okay from this. Like it seemed like the cauterizing like somewhat.
Yeah, he gets up and walks away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh, okay. So he's like, he's good, you know. Like I thought I remembered him dying, but I'm like,
The next
okay.
time you see him, he's pale.
Yeah, I
I don't know
guess.
if you noticed that. Like
Yeah, I guess
he is
true.
not he's
And
not okay. He's
yeah.
doing his thing, but it's not going incredibly well. But after this, that's when Jorah and Thoros have their conversation, where about his experience charging with
Mm,
the flaming sword during the siege of Pike. And this is Jorah like just witnessed Thoros do this, so he's like, I basically wanted to tell you that you're one of the bravest people I've ever met in my fucking life. Like
yeah. Mhm.
the Ironborn thought you were a god because of the way you were waving that fucking flaming sword around, and he's like, I'm not the bravest, I'm just the drunkest. Um,
Dog. Yeah.
a bit too humble,
Yeah.
methinks.
You think Jorah
So
knows he's going? You know, because I guess the paleness that does make sense. I just kind of thought like they're north of the wall. This dude is used to fire.
yeah, he's like,
Um,
no, yeah, that's true.
and I'm
That's
like,
true.
I
I
just
was
thought they
like,
were all
he's
just fucking
noticeably
cold,
paler
but
than everybody
yes, he
else.
is. Yeah, he definitely is. I think I was just holding out for him. I'm like, no, he can't. He's fine. Like
Oh, damn. So, like, you thought you remembered him dying, but him getting
I
up there, you were like, "Oh, he's fine." Oh, that explains your feelings about the
yeah
episode much more because we
yeah.
were we were talking off mic for a while. I remembered exactly how Thoros went out. So, like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I was
because
just kind of like,
it just
yeah,
cuts to him frozen, and I'm like, oh. I was like, oh man, I thought this was at least next episode. You know, I knew he died somewhat soon, but I didn't know it was this episode at all.
and that
Um,
sudden.
hmm
Um,
Yeah.
but nevertheless, while navigating through the mountain, they see a White Walker leading a column of whites marching through a canyon below, and the ranging party plants a fire and ambushes them when the White Walker stops to investigate. And John again managed to kill his second White Walker,
Mm-hmm.
um, with
Think.
Longclaw.
Good job, Jorah, not taking that sword.
Yep.
Because yeah, he's just
Sorry, Jorah. I don't know if you do it like that. And there is another thing that I've considered, and I think we talked about this with Hardhome, given how quickly he dispatches that White Walker. I actually don't think any of them are that talented at fighting. They just never have competition. Nobody can fucking kill them unless they have these swords. So, like,
that's yeah,
I think they're
true.
just always kind of like, fuck it, I don't need to be good at fighting. I can take anything and then kill these motherfuckers. Um,
That's fair. Yeah,
they shatter every weapon, every other weapon that touches them as
they
soon as they touch that
yeah, they
fucking thing.
literally
So,
just have
like,
to like hold it up and like, hey, I dare you, swing at me.
yeah,
Go ahead,
exactly. So,
try.
like,
Like I'm already
maybe
dead, you know.
maybe I'm not giving Jorah enough credit. He probably would have beat this White's ass, or this White Walker's ass. But
Hmm.
regardless, I love that John gets to kill his second White Walker. That's really nice. But yeah, it is also interesting that, again, a bit of a matter of convenience, that there happens to be one in this raiding party that was not turned by this a single one that was not turned by this White Walker.
Yeah.
And also, can every White Walker do the Night King thing? That's how whites are created.
Maybe the Night King can do it without contact, but maybe the whites have to like
Touch.
maybe. Yeah, that is weird. Cause the Night King created no, I guess the whites are Craster's babies sometimes though, right?
The
they
White
start
Walkers
as
are.
humans, and then are
Yes.
turned. So maybe there's a difference there. But they never really get into that. And I love how John is just
No, yeah,
instantly like, oh, he must have turned them. That's why they all died. Like it's just he knows. And then and they're like it's just
that's
matter of
gospel
fact.
now. That is what the logic is behind it. So
Yeah.
if he turned these, the Night King turned all of them. So they'll all die.
That makes sense. That
that
follows.
tracks. That
But
one I like. They
them
make it
getting
more
it-
clear than
yeah.
ever in this episode that they're a hive mind.
Mhm.
I can't believe that was ever even in question, to be honest.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why the White Walkers have that capability, is because they're basically the
They're
fucking
all
Night King.
the Night King. Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
Maybe that's just the logic there. But regardless, I just thought that, again, just a matter of convenience, being like, one of them didn't fall into the same category as the other 7.
Yeah, a little convenient.
Regardless. And again, to draw attention to it later too. Like, you might have gotten away with it if they're not being like, well, why do you think this one didn't go down?
Yep. Nope. And I guess okay. Headcanon or a little workaround. The Night King, or they know this. They know if the White Walker dies there, all the whites go. That guy wouldn't have been able to scream and let them know where everyone was if they all died. So maybe they do have just one straggler of another, of someone else, so that if one goes down, then it's like, hey,
there you go.
Here you are.
There you go. That's a good.
See,
I will take that. That's a good workaround. I like that, Joe. Way creative.
Every time I'm thinking of the Night King, I'm like, I don't think he's just pure evil. It seems like it for the show. Dude is just pure evil, wants to kill everybody, make the long night true. But we have no idea what they do otherwise. Are they strategizing, or are they just like, all right, we go south, we kill as many people as we want, or is it
that's the thing. Again, what I think this episode makes clear is that there's no strategizing necessary.
It's just they've never had competition.
Night King's thoughts, all of the Night King's just thinking for them.
Okay. Okay.
Granted, that can't be entirely true because of what happens with the Hound later on when he's chucking rocks. The Night King would probably know when stuff is frozen over.
Couldn't he have just walked forward a little bit, blown, I don't know, done some Superman super freezing, he is winter, and it didn't freeze. Usually he brings the storm. I didn't think about that until just now.
I didn't either. Yeah, no, I mean, again, just all sorts of just whoa, I'm gonna poke a hole here. Whoa, I'm gonna poke a hole here. It's just a lot. And usually, I don't like to harp on that kind of stuff. It's just so abundant here. There's an awful lot of it.
And then they get the one trapped, and they're like, "Oh, well, more are coming. We're fucked. Gendry, go." He runs in the direction, I'm pretty certain, that the White Walkers come from. He runs in that direction. The other guys run the other way. They run the other way. Gendry runs into the White Walkers and just somehow gets past somehow that's towards the wall. And I'm like, what is going on here? It seems like it. Because it's
they're in a valley.
Yes, they're in a valley. There's only 2 ways to go. Gendry goes back to the wall, and then the other guys push forward to the ice lake, and then the White Walkers come from where Gendry came from. And I'm like, how did is he just that fast? Dude just fucking booked it,
Headcanon, instead of running straight that way, he just, he ran around the valley and then fucking booked it south. We're looking east to west here in this valley.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'll go with. And then he made it around the edge and just sideways. And again, that's funny. I hadn't thought of that either.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless, I will point out something that is really, really good about this episode is the filmmaking. One of my absolute favorite shots of tension building is whenever that white screeches and they're trying to cover him up and they're trying to hold him down. And then you see the cloud coming and it's a shot of John's back and
Mm-hmm.
then he turns around and he comes into focus and he's like, fucking run, like he's just
Yeah, like
go, like
you have to
I
go. You have
love
to get to Eastwatch. You have to. Gendry's like, no, 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 or whatever. He's like, dude, no time. You just got to go, man. Like you're the fastest. And even Tormund's like, give me the hammer. You'll be faster. Like like they are
yeah,
like, oh
faster without that thing.
shit.
Gimme.
Yeah, they are like, oh shit. Um, yeah, and
A completely useless weapon, by the way.
yeah, no dragon glass on the tip of that thing really at all. Um,
It
yeah,
eventually gets some upgrades before the Battle of Winterfell. Um, but like they make a point to show when the Hound hits one and he gets back up, you're like, fuck, you
mm-hmm.
know.
You think maybe before you go north of the wall, everyone that is going has but I think we poked too many holes already
Yeah,
on
I
that.
mean, perhaps maybe we just kind of take it as they come now. But regardless, they Jorah pulls out a bag from his jacket and secures it over the whites that they capture's head. And Sandor and Tormund bind the creature with a coil of rope. And in the middle of this, they realize the captive's howls have drawn the attention of a massive host of white now heading their way, hastening their work. And as the noise of the horde approaches, Jon sends Gendry to Eastwatch. The whites pursue the group over a lake of weak ice, and the shots of them just running, booking it, just like, we don't know where we're going. We don't know how we're going to make it out of this, but we're going to keep fucking going.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
ultimately, they get really lucky when they all just decide, like the white strategy. It's not a terrible strategy, but it is fascinating that they didn't just all decide to keep
mm,
chasing. They all seem to know that they needed to surround
mm-hmm.
them.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah,
yeah,
I
that's
think the Night King, the Night King, he knows what he's doing. Like I think cuz
yeah,
if it is a hive mind, like he's warging basically all of them, you know? Like
that's probably exactly what it is.
yeah.
Uh,
Like he can
if
check
he's the
in.
antithesis,
Mhm.
yeah, if he's the antithesis to Bran,
Yeah.
that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, he can just see through any of their eyes,
Mhm.
and I mean, it gives less credence to know that he should just have known when the lake was frozen. But maybe he is just that dumb. I don't know. Maybe the Night King doesn't have much
And maybe he
brain
is
to him.
brainless.
Yeah.
Maybe he is just kind of like death, death, death. Like maybe that's just all that's in his fucking head all day. We don't fucking know. Um,
Hmm.
but nevertheless, one of the party trips and falls behind, and a few of the horde tackle him, and the combined weight breaks the ice and they fall through. And this causes a chain reaction of the ice breaking in a perfect circle all the way around them. And they have to stop in the middle and make camp on this little rock.
Hmm.
And throughout the night, Jon and his comrades wait in the middle of the ice while encircled by the army of the dead. Meanwhile, Gendry reaches Eastwatch, and on the outer gates, he collapses from exhaustion. You remember that song, He's a runner, he's a track star?
Yeah.
That's about Gendry. That's about Gendry. Not literally, but
No,
it should be.
no,
It
it
might
is.
well be.
No, it is.
Um,
No, I love that it's like he did exactly what he needed to do. It's like a marathon runner. They
mhm.
have all that strength, and right when they pass the finish line, just
Yep.
like holy shit, I can rest because
And Davos is like, where are the others? Love Davos, by the way. Love a little Davos tidbit. I appreciate that.
hmm
He's what happened. Gendry's like, we need a raven. We must send a
get
raven.
the maester now.
Yeah.
Davos knew it was pertinent. Like Davos was like, where's everyone
Where are the
else?
others?
And he's like,
Fucking A.
Raven, okay, get the maester.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love.
But morning comes,
Hmm.
which we are doing a little bit of the fast travel thing, but I do appreciate that they do depict time passing. It's not like it's just like this all happens within the same 2-hour period. No, like it's
Yeah.
probably a good
Yeah, I guess they are just kind of hunkering
10
down
hours.
over there. Like they're
Yeah.
just there, just cold, and it does take a while for water to freeze. So I guess fair enough.
I'm pretty
You know.
sure we get a shot of them where I'm pretty sure they're all waking up. I'm pretty sure they all slept.
Okay, that could make sense.
They're like
Yeah.
they all kind of like
Mm-hmm.
when they find Thoros. I'm pretty sure they're all waking up from a night.
Oh, and he just didn't survive the night. That
They didn't just let Thoros die
that
next
makes
to them.
more sense. Yeah, that
Yeah,
makes way more sense. Um,
but it. Granted, I will also say that for a great squad, y'all don't have a system set up where one of y'all is going to stay awake.
with
If the ice freezes over and they come running, y'all are fucked.
the
And
worst
maybe they just
threat
know
they
that.
have.
Maybe they're just
Yeah.
like, if that's how it happens, that's how it happens.
I'd rather
You
be
know? But
asleep,
like,
sort of thing. Like, yeah, it's like, I'll get one more good nap in, or they're just that tired. They're just like,
they're
fuck,
probably that
man.
tired.
Yeah,
They
they're just
probably are.
like,
But
damn.
it's just a lot of funny stuff where I'm like, now why the fuck did y'all all sleep? You know, I'm like,
Imagine, yeah.
Maybe Thoros was keeping
That's what I was
watch.
gonna say. Imagine they told Thoros to be the one to keep watch, and then he's just the one that goes. Yeah, it's
Damn,
ah,
our watchman died. But
mhm.
they all awake to find Thoros has died from his wounds in the night, and Beric and Sandor pay their last respects, and the Hound tries to give Beric a little peace of mind by saying they say it's one of the better ways to go. Um,
I guess in your sleep, yeah. Because
if you,
I
if you
did
freeze
not,
to death,
I did not get that a day passed and that they slept. Because whenever he said it's a better way to go, I'm like freezing to death. I'm like, or
in his sleep.
bleeding because of wounds. I'm like, well, hold on, how is that a good way to go? But this makes much more sense if it was through the night.
An entire night, and that is why I've always been kind of like Gendry arrives at the wall in the middle of the night. It is not light out when he does that.
Okay,
Um,
yeah, that's true.
so like there is a very, very it's quickly edited, time is
Hmm.
passing fast, but they are allowing time to
Yeah,
pass. It's not it is,
I think I'm just caught up in the moment of everything that's going on. I'm not really
and I will
noticing.
grant, first time
Yeah.
I watched this, I was too. I was like, wow, this is fucking zooming, you know?
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
I've since had to defend this to a lot of times,
True.
and been like, no, wait, but they do let time pass. You see, you know, like
Yeah.
that's kind of been the vibe. But regardless, at John's insistence here, they burn the body with Beric's flaming sword, so Thoros can't be reanimated. And the Whites watch while their captive White struggles under its hood and restraints. And Jorah proposes killing the White. He's like, why don't we just fucking kill this thing? We
He's
can bring it.
yeah, he's like he's right there. He's looking at us right now. He's just chilling right there. Which I think is hilarious. Like if
He's like, look at that motherfucker. Look at him up there. And he's just like on his fucking horse.
holding his spear like it's not against the ground either. He's like actually holding it up
Yeah, he's
in
holding
the
it up.
air on the side. I'm like, you know what? Maybe he
Yeah.
doesn't have a brain. You know, maybe it like
Maybe bro, head empty, death only.
yeah, cold.
But
I'm just so cold I can't even think one thing,
cold,
you know.
die,
Yeah.
die, cold. Um, he's like Hodor, but with like nothing but death
Death,
and cold on his head.
death because cold. Death because
Death goes
cold.
cold.
Yeah.
Death goes cold. But regardless, um, the apparently the Night King is just kind like recently arrived. Like he wasn't here before. He was like, "Oh, I've been alerted by my little brain.
Mm-hmm.
Must go." Um, he's
Okay,
like, "Maybe we should kill that motherfucker."
surround them so he can take the travel to get there. I think maybe, I'm really going back and forth if this dude has a brain or not. But
No, yeah, I mean, I think he's intelligent. I do.
yeah.
He's too like. There's a moment in season 8 whenever Danny says Dracarys and in the Battle of Winterfell, and the Night King's just on the ground, and the fire beats down at him, and
Mm-hmm.
when he doesn't die, he smiles at her. You know, he's
Hmm.
like this dude's got thoughts going on behind his head. You know, like
Oh,
those eyes. There's something going on behind them.
true.
We will never know because he never speaks. But regardless, possibly one of the biggest teases in the history of television. Um, and I mean tease in the sense of like they're teased, like they're teasing us, like they're like, ooh, Night King, White Walkers, ooh,
He's
what's
just
the deal with them?
they're
You
so
don't fucking know, and you never will.
mysterious. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
just mysterious. You'll never know their next
Frankly,
move.
like I'm mostly okay with that. It's the one thing I will grant is that maybe the Night King should have said something at some point. Um,
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe just
I
even
don't
in
know
their
what,
own language, it doesn't even have to like it just anything or just
just something, man.
to like one of
Uh,
his own. Yeah, I don't know. Something. I guess it is all him though. Who is he going to talk to? It's all just him. Other than Craster's kids or are they just turned into him? Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
Um,
I don't know.
but
Regardless, we'll get to talk about more of that later.
mhm.
But he then adds that the Lord of Light has not resurrected John for no reason, but Sandor reminds him that they have just lost their priest, and you're on your last life now, Beric.
Mhm.
And after receiving Gendry's message from Eastwatch, Tyrion implores my favorite character of the episode, Queen Daenerys Targaryen, who has donned a cold weather version of her Targaryen garb. Love that. It's all white. She's like, yeah, let's do this thing right. I got to get dressed.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Like they need my help immediately, but not before
Let
I
me get dripped out
look
like
good. Yeah, I'm
I
gonna.
gotta be looking fucking fine
Yeah,
if I'ma save John's ass right
that
now.
could technically be camouflage. They're going in the.
No, tactically, it is camouflage. It is
Yeah,
also, less camouflage when you arrive on the back of a giant fucking dragon.
yeah.
But,
It's the only.
um,
Yeah, I guess they very and two others following behind as well. So yeah, I
she's
think.
got she's got incredible fashion sense. Like it doesn't matter. She's just like, sorry.
Back now. Um,
Seems I froze for
yeah,
a moment there.
I heard
I apologize.
incredible fashion sense, and then it cut off right there. So
Okay, cool. Yeah, she's got an incredible fashion sense. This is just kind of what all her clothes look like. It's not like she's specifically picked out like I got to be looking fine. Like this, she's never not looked great. So like,
this is true.
I'll
Yeah.
grant her that. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, she looks wonderful. And you know, sh- Tyrion's like, you should not go. And she asks, what would you have me do? And he says, nothing. Sometimes the hardest thing to do is nothing, and there's nothing you can do. They knew the risks. They knew they could die. This is what needs to happen. And you know, uh, Daenerys is like, you've told me to do nothing before. It didn't do me shit, so I'm gonna go ahead and go. And she goes ahead and takes all 3 dragons beyond the wall to aid Jon Snow and his ranging party. And amidst that ranging party, bored out of his mind, Sandor decides he's going to throw some rocks at some undead minions. He's like, why not? Why not? Why not do something really fucking stupid? Why not go ahead and taunt these motherfuckers? That seems good. Yeah, I'm thinking that's a great idea. So he goes ahead and throws one. First one goes off without a hitch, knocks off the jaw of one of them. It's like, yeah,
Could have
good
stopped
job.
there, Hound. You could have stopped right there.
You got your satisfaction. Why must you continue? The second, however, skids across the ice, and both the party and the undead quickly realize that the water has frozen and it is once more iced.
Oh
And
fuck.
it's going to support them. One of them starts to walk toward them real slow, and then a few more, and then a few more, and they all begin to get ready for
Will
the
say
coming battle.
from this point on, I will give them like this. Yeah.
Episode's pretty fucking dope from here
Yeah.
on out. I dig the rest of this episode.
Mhm.
When we're in the action, when we're in the thick of it, I do have it's a common complaint with or a common gripe with basically any situation like this.
Mhm.
Impossible. There's no fucking way they win this. And the fact that only one of them dies from here on out, insane. No fucking shot. But I'll take it. I'll accept it.
Mhm. I think that they were maybe thinking about, oh, if we kill a dragon, that's big enough for it to make it
Yeah.
seem, that
And
that
that's the
everyone
other
can make it
thing is
out.
that,
But
like, yes, uh, it's all, I don't know. Like, it's just, I have conflicting feelings about the way they handle stakes from here on in. Like,
mhm.
a lot of important people die, but nobody that important dies. Like,
And
besides,
the big ice spear, javelin, whatever, they always just have those on them, right?
yeah,
This
those are
wasn't
always
like
there.
the first time that they've had them. This is the first time
No,
they've used them.
I'm pretty sure this is basically what their swords are,
Oh,
too.
okay.
Like,
So this is just their weapon. Okay, so
this is their weapon.
it's not
This
like
is
this is the
what they
first time
use.
they showed up with them, and it's like, oh, we know a dragon's coming. Bang. I think he just
No.
lucked into quite the situation for
Yes.
him.
Yeah.
But okay, just wanted to make
But
sure on
yeah,
that.
we descend into this massive fucking battle, and it is very cool. There's a moment whenever Tormund and Jon come back to back, and they look at each other, and they're like,
Like,
And
oh
it made
no.
me realize, I've got chills talking about it right now. This is the third fucking battle they've fought in together.
Ooh. Oh man. Let's see. I
They
guess
fought at
battle
Hardhome
hard home.
together.
Okay, yeah, hell yeah.
Well, this is the fourth battle they've been in at the same time. They were in the Battle of the Wall against each other. They
Mm-hmm.
were at the Battle of Hardhome fighting alongside each other against the same enemy. They were in the
Damn.
Battle of the Bastards where basically this exact same shot happened, which is really what did it
Mm-hmm.
for me.
Yeah.
And then now this, where they're like, we've lived through too fucking much. This might be it. You know, like they're like, this is probably all, you
And
know?
that's clear. John's not saying a single word. He's like the only one not fighting right here, and he's just like kind of taking it all in, you know? And like he's the only one defending like the back of them. Like they're on top of the rock and he's kind of going to slice the people who come up, but he's honestly he's like this is it. Like this is where we die. Like there's nothing we can do. We'll fight for a little bit, but eventually they're gonna they will kill us. And he's
Mhm.
I thought I don't know, it was a beautiful moment. Like even I know what's gonna happen, but like the threat of them actually dying was there. It's just like obviously when you see them on that little island completely surrounded, you're like, well, what's the only move left in the entire show? A dragon coming in and saving the day. You
Only
already
way.
know what's gonna happen.
Another shot that just was fucking gorgeous. I absolutely loved it. There's a couple here. Whenever they start to like storm them, there's a
Mm-hmm.
shot of like, I love really good blocking. I love staging and just like the capturing
Mm-hmm.
people perfectly so that nobody's like covered, nobody's overlapped, everything's staged perfectly. There's a moment whenever it's like Barrick, Tormund, and the Hound, and they're all standing like several feet apart, but they look lined up right next to each other as they're approaching, and it's fucking gorgeous. I absolutely loved it. And then my favorite, what is probably my favorite shot of the episode, is whenever the dude who John tries to save, who he didn't accidentally kill. He saved his life, but then like kind of forced him into an unfortunate situation where his back was
Mm-hmm.
against the wall and he fell.
Yeah.
Whenever that guy's falling and
It
they're all
just
descending upon him and everyone's fighting behind him, and it just kind of
mm,
zooms out with him
yeah.
standing above everyone
Okay.
like dude, fucking gorgeous. Absolutely loved that. But yeah, that's when we get our Deus Ex Machina here, and not the first of the episode. There's been all sorts of them here. Tormund almost gets taken under the ice, which was extremely important for me, and one of the holes that I've always understood, but now officially feel like we can negate, is how they get Viserion out of the water.
Mm.
They do not die when they go down there. They
Oh.
burst through the ice and try to pull Tormund down.
Yeah, okay. I guess they're already dead. So yeah,
They
freezing to
are
death
fully
is
capable
yeah, freezing to death is
They are
nothing.
fully
Yeah, they
capable of swimming down there, chaining that motherfucker up, and pulling him out. That is something they can do, which I was like, you know what? That's a good attention to detail that I don't know if it was intentional, but it's enough for me to
eh.
rationalize how they are able to pull Viserion out of the water later.
The only
I will
thing that
grant, like,
I
how
just
they get
didn't
those
know where
fucking
they got the
giant
chains. That was my only
yeah,
thing. Was like, where the fuck they get that? You know, um,
where did those come from? Yeah, like that, I still don't have an answer for. They
mate.
do leave and then come back, which is important. They went and got the chains. Don't know where, don't know how, but they did leave to go get them.
I guess at
I
Hardhome,
think.
a bunch of boats were there and destroyed, and an anchor. Do they have anchors on those
Yeah,
ships? You know, and maybe that's the chain from
I
the
think they have
anchor.
to. I don't think there's a way
Um,
they cannot.
Yeah, but who knows? Maybe they got a whole civilization we don't know about. Maybe they're making these fucking shits as well, you know, up in the north of the wall. I don't think that's as likely. No way, no way. But yeah, that was my thought. It's just like how they get them, but then it's like, oh, they kill everything and then they just have whatever's left over, you
They
know.
loot, you
So,
know, they basically
hmm
they get what they get what they get. But yeah, no, they get their savior here. Queen Daenerys arrives with her dragons who attack the whites with dragon fire, and you're like, this moment actually did like, as much as I'm like, it's the obvious choice, it had to happen. It does give me chills. My tears, my eyes did well up with tears. I was like, you know what, fuck yeah, you know what? I was like, thank God.
mm,
Um,
mm.
and maybe that's just a sign I'm a simpleton. But regardless,
No, no.
just watching all these whites burn and like John look up at her and like this is the first time he's seeing this. You know, he's heard about it, and like this is something they do. He knows that she left and she came back with fewer enemies, and you know all that. But they have not seen this.
Yeah.
And it's just a point whenever you know John's like, oh, thank fucking God. You know, like it's not just for saving me now, but this is gonna be so fucking useful. Like this, it's like, oh,
like
thank you.
Everything, like a dragon does go, yes, but now Daenerys is without a doubt on their. You know, it's like, and she says it like you just have to see it,
and he's without a doubt on hers.
Yeah.
He's like
they had feelings and everything. This just locked it in. You know, like this was like she was like, oh, I can't let you die. I think that's the reason she went, was because of Jon. Like she was like, I don't want to do the nothing was just an excuse to be like, I have to go try to save Jon. And then
maybe Jorah, you know, maybe it's the combination of Jorah and Jon, but logically, to face a threat she doesn't know exists. There's one fucking reason she's going up there, man, and it is to save Jon or to save Jorah or both of them or as many as she can.
Yeah.
She's a good person, but like that's why she's fucking going, man. Like she doesn't know that these things exist. She doesn't know that's real. You know.
Look what she does afterwards. She's on top of the wall waiting for one person, the one, you know, and he does the hero thing, you know, but waiting for Jorah.
Well, Jorah standing up there is like, I think it might be.
Oh, yeah. He's like, really? Fuck, already? I think it might be time to go. You really are in love with that guy. Shit, there's just really another replacement every time. Yeah. And then she turns her.
Standing up at the top of the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Like I said, the rest of this episode, fucking flames. I love the rest of this episode.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and so all that goes their way for a second, and Jon and his party rush to Daenerys and her dragon Drogon, dragging their captive wight with them, while Viserion and Rhaegal provide covering fire from above. Meanwhile, the Night King obtains an icy javelin from one of his lieutenants and hurls it directly at Viserion, scoring a direct hit. Now, what I really loved was already Jon had decided, I'm probably not going to go with you. Now that I know our white captive is going to go there, now that I know everyone will believe this, now that I know I don't have to lead the fight, I will die trying to kill this motherfucker before you have to do that.
Yeah.
Yep.
But maybe the one gripe is him just not full on sprinting at the Night King. You know, I guess there was a lot of things in his path, you know, a lot of undead in the way, but like if we just saw like his vision, like narrow, you know, tunnel vision, if we just saw him tunnel vision on the Night King and just, you know, start to run, and then something happens where, you know, he's or I don't know, something.
I was close to giving Kit Harington my performance. And it is in these, it's here in a couple moments. Viserion gets hit by the icy javelin, and blood is pouring out, fires engulfing his body. He's letting out horrendous screeches.
Drogon
he plunges helplessly into a free fall.
Eesh.
Rhaegal flies right behind him and tries to go down with him, and obviously cannot save him. But like that, I never really noticed that he is right behind him. He is trying to save his brother. And then, you know, Drogon letting out a screech, Rhaegal letting out a screech, powerless to help him, as all of them watch in horror as they realize the Night King's got that fucking cannon on him.
Yeah, I mean, damn, what a throw. Need him in the NFL. Dude could literally throw 500 yards without a problem.
At least. Yeah, no, yeah, bro. And all of, you know, like Daenerys is obviously in mourning.
Oh, yeah.
All the rest of them are like, we're on one of those things right now.
Yeah, they're like, oh,
you know?
shit. We thought that these things were indestructible. Like,
yeah.
They were already.
I just met these things.
Yeah.
And I thought they were indestructible. Like, you know, Tormund's like, I don't know, man. I thought for sure that this thing couldn't die. because that's another thing is that like they don't make a moment out of it. Tormund hasn't seen these.
Oh wow. Yeah, no. Um,
I'm pretty sure Gendry also probably hasn't.
he's been in King's Landing the entire time.
He did go down to Dragonstone.
Yes. Yes, he was at Dragonstone
Right.
in
So
the
maybe he
caves
did.
and then introduced
Yeah.
himself to Jon. Okay,
Maybe he
yeah.
did see them, but
Mhm.
regardless, like I appreciated that Tormund's just like, yep, I'm a hop on the back of this motherfucker right now, you know.
Mhm.
But it's when they go down, and Jon like turns and looks at the Night King, and then I don't know. I appreciate what you mean about him trying to sprint towards him, but when he just like starts stepping towards him and everything that
Mm.
comes at him, he's just walking, he's
Oh, okay.
just dispatching all of them immediately. Like,
Okay, yeah.
no, I'm gonna get you.
Mhm.
You know, like I'm gonna get you right now. And I would have appreciated everything even more. Right then, the Night King is handed another javelin, and Jon turns around and tells Daenerys, "Y'all gotta fucking go,
Yeah. Leave
go."
now. Yeah.
I would have enjoyed if he did not sprint back towards the dragon when he gets
Continued.
tackled under the ice.
Like continuing on his
Yeah,
path and then okay.
yes.
Okay.
That's one little detail that I think is just kind of a mindless mistake.
Mhm.
Um, I think it's just something they weren't really thinking about the implication of. He's telling them to go, as in, like, I'm willing to die here. Why then not try to continue going for what
Yeah.
you were going for like 2 seconds ago? Um,
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I guess I mean they needed
and
him
I
to
and I
live.
understand how you could overlook that. I really do. Like, it's a simple thing. It's a camera thing, I'm assuming. It's like it's from the perspective of Daenerys that she watched or them, they watch him get tackled.
Mhm.
It is not as cool to see the back of him while that
Ah,
happens.
I
Like,
see.
it's just it's a different choice, and I think there is an easy solve where the camera's just on the other side of him. But regardless, like it makes for me it absolutely senseless he didn't mount Drogon a second ago.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
Like,
my whole thought is Drogon, they all get on Drogon. Rhaegal is just out there, you know. And that's the one Jon eventually gets on. That's the one
the
that's
one named
named
after
after
his
his
daddy.
father. Why
Yeah.
didn't Rhaegal save him from doing this? And he gets on Rhaegal, and this is the first Jon flight on a dragon. You know, I think this would have been incredible, like showing that the dragons have, you know, they're very smart
A connection
themselves,
to
and like,
writer, yeah.
and he, you know, and I don't know that I just felt was kind of a missed op. And I don't know, dragons are very expensive. Like you said, the camera on the other side of Jon would mean that Drogon is fully in view of the background, so it's probably just a money
That's true.
situation. You know, it's like,
That's true.
yeah, they're very expensive to do. So that's probably a big factor in their shots. But in to have Rhaegal save Jon is a whole other budget they have to open up as well. So that's
Mhm.
probably it. But
Yeah. Regardless, yeah. I mean, they watch as Jon gets tackled beneath the ice, and Daenerys is forced to leave him behind before the Night King can kill them, and he barely misses them. Um, with the dragons gone, the Night King and his army leave the scene, and later, Jon Snow climbs out of the ice and regains Longclaw. Now, I know you've heard the little fucking theory about Longclaw, how its eyes like. Do you notice its eyes do anything weird during this scene?
what?
You've never heard this? You've never heard this?
What? How have I? Yeah, how have I not heard? This seems
That's why I was
directly.
assuming you'd be all over this. Um, and it's just a lighting thing, but people ran with it. It's absolutely just a lighting thing.
Okay.
The eyes are all white, and then Jon slams his hand, a pupil appears, and then when he lifts his way all the way up, the eyes are completely black. Like it's like it almost like it's like
Hmm.
people thought some warging thing was happening, and but that it happened with Longclaw, which I don't even know what the fuck that would do, so I don't believe it one bit. But
To warg a sword? Like the
yeah,
sword was warged?
I mean, like, if you look at it, I
Mm-hmm.
understand why people would think that. The eyes go completely white. They are completely white, and then they appear to have a pupil. So, like, it looks the way that things do when they warg. I think it's just the water splashing, the light changing, him moving the sword in specific ways.
Yeah, I didn't pick up on it whatsoever at all. So that
Yeah, I'm
is
impressed that you've never heard anything about the long claw being some sort of magic. Like, I think part of it was that they thought that long claw was Lightbringer, the sword that was destined to end the conflict and all that sort of stuff. So it was like playing into that. Um, are you like watching it now?
that is a weird flash of white that all of a sudden does happen. Um,
Well, I took it like it starts as white.
yeah, okay. No, it's just they are like jewels or like they're like crystals and it's just a reflect. It
Because
is,
when he
yeah.
grabs it and turns it, they're all black, and
Yeah.
it's a change of light that happens there. It's
Okay.
clearly reflecting light, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, cuz when it's on the ground just by itself before he even comes out, they're white. The
Mhm.
eyes are white
Yeah,
already.
the pure white
Yeah, pure white. And then he slams his hand down. And yeah, it's like a
pupil.
yeah.
I can see how people think it's a pupil, but I literally think it's just the sword shifting slightly. Um,
It is weird how it is so in focus though. Like I see
yeah,
why people
like
would run
there.
with it. Like it was the only thing in frame at the beginning and then, now whatever. Maybe I don't know, maybe
Then he uses it to get out and everything. So it's like,
mhm.
yeah, but
It called
regardless,
maybe it called the Benjen. Maybe that's the only thing,
maybe, yeah.
Benjen was the one who yeah, that doesn't I like it. I would have ran with it initially and then yeah, I don't know. I guess it falls apart pretty quickly. But
Yeah, but
pretty
yeah,
sweet.
John climbs out, regains Longclaw, and just walks away as like, fucking do this thing. Like I know y'all are gonna come after my
Here we
ass one
go
more time.
again.
Let's go ahead and end
Yeah.
it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but John is quickly spotted and pursued. Before the Whites can finish the king in the north, his long lost uncle Benjen Stark appears,
Mm-hmm.
as if from nowhere, on horseback with his flaming flail. And Benjen tells John to flee on his horse. Go. There's no time. I'm gonna watch you for a second before I have to fight anybody, though. Um,
I think it is this quick just so that you don't think about it.
yeah,
So that you
no,
don't have to
absolutely.
think about like, oh,
There is another thing here that like Benjen can't go south of the wall. I mean, like he might just be resigning his fate. He's just kind of like, I can never go south of the wall again. I've saved you. Maybe it's just my time. That's it. That's what I think.
me,
I'm like,
I think it's a Bran thing. The fact that he did save Bran, um, Hodor
mhm,
saving Bran, and that's a whole from the past all the way into the future. It has to happen that way. Maybe Benjen's the same way. He saves Bran, he saves Jon, he saves the
right.
Starks, and maybe Bran is in Benjen right now. Like maybe
Yeah, I
or
mean,
like he's war.
with
Bran is
he
like
could have alerted. Like, I could believe he alerted him to the threat.
yeah, yeah. Been like, hey, you need to go here, Benjen. Go. This is what you're
That I
what
have
you're
no
meant for.
problem.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine with me. Again, could have benefited from a scene where they show that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
because brother, is it stupid as hell that he just shows up here?
It's pretty
It is
ridiculous.
so fucking dumb.
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay with it. It's fine. But my God, is that like y'all are really just doing anything here? Like,
Fan service, fan service, fan service. This was a fan service heavy episode. Um,
yeah.
and I guess Benjen, yeah, he's still somewhere out there. He is north of the wall always, but like,
And I guess he can blend in with the army of the dead because he's partially one of them. So, that's why he can sneak through their lines and come from behind. And
Yeah, I guess maybe he's watching this whole thing go down. He's like, well, I can't go now, or else I'm definitely not gonna be able to do anything. But yeah, but show us. I don't know
Yeah,
anything.
like that's the thing. Like, show us shit, man.
Mm-hmm.
Bothers the shit out of me, and it shouldn't. It's fine. It's small. It's not that big a deal, but it is a big deal. This is what saves the main character of the show's life.
Yeah, and that's the thing. They were very
John is like,
careful about everything in the previous
John is
seasons.
dead.
Yeah, yeah. Everything else that happens previously in the show, like it is explained. Like there's nothing that this. It's like, oh wow, like what a cheap. Like this is cheap. Like a little
Yeah,
like
this is a standout. Like, what? Like, you're fucking
they used all the
kidding.
cards they had. The dragons came. They didn't save John. They're like, all right, what the fuck else do we have? Oh yeah,
How
Benjen's
about
still
old? How
alive.
about old Cold Hands?
Yeah, yeah. It's
I don't fucking know, man. But at Eastwatch, Sandor carries a struggling White into a boat, and Tormund and Beric tell him they will meet again. But Sandor retorts he sure hopes not. And Daenerys sends Drogon and Rhaegal to scour the surrounding mountains for Jon. And Jorah tells Daenerys that it's time to leave, but she insists on waiting a bit longer. And by a bit longer, she means 5 seconds. Um,
yeah, yeah. Just to make the
no, and
whole
I
turnaround
don't actually have a
better.
problem with that. I'm
But
just being facetious there. Like, that is typically how that goes. She's like, I'll wait a bit longer, and then she realizes that waiting is it's pointless. It hasn't happened, it's not going to. So she goes and leaves.
mhm.
It is what it is. But this is the beginning of what gets Emilia Clarke my performance nod for sure. The
Okay.
next couple scenes with her are fucking astounding. We've talked in previous episodes where she does show that she feels things,
Mhm.
that deeply, that she is moved to her core by certain things. It's been a while since we've seen that, and it was nice to see her just like, I want him to be okay. Please tell me he's okay type shit. Like, I loved that. I love that
Yeah.
shit.
Wow, okay. I initially put down Amelia Clark for me. I put her down as performance, and then I had John as the character. But then I thought about what's happening here. John's doesn't really do anything out of character or anything new. He's just doing what he's already on the plan he said he's gonna do. The Jorah
Mhm.
thing is nice, but that's what John would do anyways.
This is what John does. Yeah.
Daenerys, like actually going to, her being like, I'm not just gonna stand around and do nothing. Like I'm going to go. Like her even making that decision, I think was a big character moment for her. So I gave Daenerys the character nod, and then I gave Kit Harington. I almost doubled up with Amelia Clark because you're right, she's fucking unbelievable.
I did double up with
Um,
Amelia Clark.
okay, so I guess she's getting her flowers. But yeah, I
Yeah.
did to give Kit the performance just for all
He
the
does. He does fantastic.
yeah
He does fantastic.
yeah. So let's
But
see
yeah,
that. Okay,
whenever he
Amelia.
pulls up here and falls off the back of his horse, um, what's that do? I saw you
Amelia
were
or
excited.
Daenerys, she was fourth, below Oberyn and Tyrion, but now she's at 11 character nods, which is second place, only below Jon Snow at 15. So they are the one and two now for character.
Oh, because we
Um,
both gave her the character. Okay.
mhm.
She jumped. Okay, love that. Love that for her. She's probably still second in performance nods then.
She is. Yeah, she'll. Lena Headey has 18. This will give her 16. Amelia Clark at 16. So only two behind. And then Kit Harington at 15 with
Advantage.
mine. So,
Okay. Okay.
mhm.
Interesting. All right. I love that. But yeah, her relief whenever she sees John, like, love that. Great performance by Amelia there. But aboard the ship, Davos and Gendry remove the frozen stiff garments of Jon Snow, who has suffered severe hypothermia and several injuries. And Daenerys also gets to see that Davos's mentioning of him taking a knife in the heart
Not
is quite
exaggeration.
literal.
Yeah. No
Yes, quite
exaggeration
literal.
there. Multiple
Uh,
knives in the heart.
Several
So,
stabbing wounds.
mhm.
Um, And in the Narrow Sea, my favorite scene begins. Jon Snow wakes up to find Daenerys watching over him in his chambers. And again, just from the fucking jump, Emilia Clarke is oozing talent, just ridiculous amounts of talent. And it's impressive that the air she's giving off, they don't write it this way, but she's there for comfort.
Yeah.
Not to comfort him, but so that when he wakes up, he can comfort her.
Mhm.
And I fucking love that.
Yeah. Yeah, she's like,
I'm a sucker for that, man.
her kid just died, you know? Like,
yeah.
those are her children for real. Like, that is all
and if you
that's
don't
been said.
feel that way, whatever. She quite simply does, you know?
Yeah.
So, but, and then Jon wakes up and delivers my favorite line of the episode, or one of my favorite lines of the episode. I went with it initially, and then he says another line a couple seconds later that I'm like, nah, yeah, that's it. When he goes, "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." You know, I was like, incredible delivery, incredible reaction by Emilia Clarke. But, you know, he says, you know, he wishes they never done it. And Daenerys goes, "No, like, I'm glad I did, because now I know it's real. You have to see it to know." And overcome with emotion, she tells Jon that the dragons are her only children she will ever have, and vows that she and Jon will work together to destroy the Night King. And I appreciate another thing that I absolutely love is that she agrees to help him before he bends the knee. He officially does not need to do that. It is something that is officially no longer required of him.
Yep.
But, you know, Jon thanks her for her support.
Thank you, Dany. Yeah, thank you, Dany. Huh, interesting. The last person to call me Dany was my brother. Very strange. And Jon's like, "Oh, definitely not Dany then." Like, he's like, yeah, like, let's get this family business out of here. And, you know.
You know, and she does specify, it's not the company you want to keep.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's like, "Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. How about..."
Not Dany.
Know, yeah.
How about my queen? That's my
I'm glad. Yeah. I'll stick with the Tormund line of him having to, you know, fuck each other to stay warm. Just because that was my other option though. Was this one, and this was,
how about my queen?
Yeah, I had two options for scene. It was this or Drogon coming in, and you know, Dany Drogon and saving the day. So I'll spread the love. I'll give it to that, even though this probably deserves the double nod for the scene. Like, this is
a powerhouse moment, man. You know, touched by his sentiment here, you know. Realizing he's agreeing to bend the knee, Daenerys asks Jon what the Northern Lords loyal to him will make of this. And Jon says, "Well, they're just gonna have to fucking deal, and they'll see, you know, they'll get it." You know,
yep, the little hand,
as he already has,
holding hands, and then she tries to pull away, but Jon like tightens it a little bit, and then a little bit later, like, and then when Daenerys goes to let go, she like goes a little slow to see if he'll like do it again. You know, it seems that like it's like both of them do not want to let go, and like, it is, you know, I always remember, yeah, I guess she is his aunt. It is like, fuck, you know,
here's the thing, bro.
For the entire show, they were not. You know, they have zero clue. Zero. It's not a Jaime and Cersei. They were born together.
Jaime and Cersei thing where they know they are twin siblings.
Yeah. Much.
And
yeah.
Here's my thing, is that I think that both of them have been in better relationships. But I do think that ultimately, like, a lot of people like to compare the relationship that forms over the course of House of the Dragon as well, between Rhaenyra and Daemon and Rhaenyra. Different. Very different. Daemon knows that is his niece and has since she was born.
He has watched her grow up.
That's intensely fucked up. Now don't get me wrong. If I fell in love with a woman and then I happened to find out she was my aunt, I would probably react the same way as Jon. I don't think I'd be okay with it. I think that would be a ruiner for me on a personal note.
Yeah. Yeah, it would never leave your mind. It like
No, I
there's
mean, like,
no way to get around
that
it.
is something that is there's this concept in How I Met Your Mother where they call it, oh, I can't remember what they call it specifically, but they learn a new detail and the glass is shattered.
Hmm.
Something is different. Glass breaks, there's a sound effect, it's like, "Oh, I did this. I'm this way, but I used to do this." It's like, "Oh
Hmm.
my god, I love you. Turns out I'm your aunt."
Yeah.
You can never interact with that person in a proper way again,
Mm-mm.
beyond familially, you know?
Yep. Yep. Yeah, I mean it's clear that they are the sexual tension here is, I mean, you could feel it in the air. And the only thing that's stopping them, John can't really, he's just, he needs some rest. He's very, very hurt. Which
How'd
I
you do it? Very carefully.
And that would have been hilarious. That would have been hilarious if it was like a little pull through and like the first time John and Danny have sex, it's the same as Sam and Gilly, but
No, but it's not the moment. It would
also
have felt
Danny is mourning the death of her dragon, so it's
yeah,
not
like,
like,
it's
yeah,
not
it
the time.
doesn't really work. Doesn't work the same, um, but they
Yeah,
do it
it's
next
definitely
episode,
not.
so that
Well, yeah, but I think we get, like, a little bit of a, god damn, what happens next
because
episode?
it's on the boat. It's on the boat they fuck, right?
Yeah. Yes.
I'm like lost. I know what happens at the end of all the
Oh,
storylines,
they
but
go to they go to King's Landing. They go straight to King's Landing. That's
oh,
the season 7 finale.
okay.
Because the season 8 premiere is them arriving back in Winterfell after that. Because Jamie leaves because of the proposal at the end of the season.
Rihanna is on her way, and then they're on
Yes.
the okay,
Yeah.
okay. Now it's
We're
coming
all
back a little
The
bit.
season culminates in King's Landing for them.
Hmm.
We're all caught up. We're all
Wow,
there.
so
We're
that they
good.
show the White Walker to Cersei now, like next episode. Oh, I just thought that was next season for some reason. I don't know why. I just
I'd been thinking of it as the season 8 premiere, but no, that is next episode. It is.
wow, wow. Okay, yeah. I guess they're on a boat, and you could take a boat all the way to King's Landing. It's not
You certainly
can't
could.
really people are like they're moving too fast, but it's like what are they gonna do? Just be on the boat for longer? They already fucked on the boat.
They've always handled boat travel pretty quickly too.
Hmm.
They've never been like, we're gonna be on a boat for a full episode. No, like they get wherever they're going quick if they're going by boat. That has kind of been their fast travel in the past.
Hmm.
Like they're not taking the roads. They're going by boat. They'll be there soon,
Wow, that's next episode. Okay, now I'm much
yeah,
more
it's
in
all
tune.
coming back.
Okay.
It's all coming back. But yeah, that's the end of that scene. And later, hundreds of whites use several large chains to drag Viserion's corpse out of the frozen lake as the Night King and one of his lieutenants watch. And when the dragon's corpse is dragged far enough out of the lake, the Night King walks over and places his hand upon his snout. All is quiet for a moment, and then Viserion's eye snaps open, shining a depthless, icy blue.
Eesh. The 1-2 punch. Kapow. You already got to deal with him dying. Ha ha.
Yeah.
Now he's on the other
Yeah,
side.
and they
Um,
burn the fucking wall down next episode.
oh, so it's on.
That is the ending next episode. Like that is the
Okay,
last
that's
thing.
actually the ending. There it is. Yes, and then season 8 is like, war is coming. The wall is down. That makes perfect
Great
sense.
War.
Okay.
There's only one war that matters. The Great War. I will never forget the season 8 promo. It's I was so fucking excited for season 8. And I will never forget they used that soundbite from next episode
Mm-hmm.
for John for season 8. There's only one war that matters. The Great War.
Yeah.
And it is here. It's
Not even winter is here now.
plain.
It's the war
No,
is here.
war is here.
Uh, Damn. Now this one I think might be our longest episode yet on Thrones. surprising.
We are north of 2 hours by
Hmm. And I
by a good
think
margin.
makes sense, the whole Arya and Sansa
We
thing.
had a lot to discuss. We had more negative to say than we usually do, but we also had positive to say. So, it all adds up,
Yeah, and where that like I've been kind of lost, like thinking of how I enjoyed this episode because.
I like it. I was watching it
Hmm.
and we've been talking with the movies recently, with the comic book movies, about how I am hard pressed to separate enjoyment from its critical appeal.
Hmm.
For some reason, that doesn't really apply with single episodes of TV. It might affect the whole show or the whole season or something.
Hmm.
Um, but I enjoy this episode. I have a good time. I got emotional. I got moved. I felt it. I everything that I was supposed to feel, I felt it in the right moments, which ultimately means they did something right, you know?
Hmm. Yeah, like I don't think it's definitely not the worst episode and enjoyment of the season.
No,
That's
and
not even
it's
close.
not
I
even
just
close.
came into this thinking it's like it's a 10 or a 9.75. This is beyond,
No, yeah,
this is
it's
the
a 9.
Suicide Squad, but I think that's more where I land. Yeah, and
Yeah,
that.
it's very good. I like it a lot. In terms of enjoyment, it's very good.
Hmm.
I have a great time watching it. I mean, I will never forget watching this on Sunday night, sitting in front of my TV when Viserion's eye snaps open and being like,
Oh
"Oh my fucking god!"
fuck.
Like
Yeah,
I
like
remember going to when did this air? Let's see. Yeah, August 20th, 2017. Beginning of the school year. It was
hmm.
the hot topic. I remember everybody coming in being like, I remember I worked on the school newspaper. This was senior. God damn, yeah, this would have been senior year, the beginning of senior year. Um, and
Mm.
this was
Yeah.
we had monthly issues, and I'm pretty sure that September's issue on the entertainment page, I was just blitzing Game of Thrones stuff.
Yeah.
I was just going ham over there. Um,
Hmm. Yeah, rightfully so. I mean, the whole world was in like this. It's crazy. Like the last two, because like no one knew season 8 was gonna be like it was. Everyone was like, like
I'm pretty sure
maybe it started to die
that
down a little bit. People like it's like why didn't they give us 10
no,
episodes? I think that was the only
it
gripe.
was not until season 8 that season 7 started to look bad
Hmm.
to a
Yeah.
lot of people. Now and I remember people talking about this one and being like, it was pretty quick. Like that was a lot of fast travel. That was a lot but ultimately everyone was still like, that's cool. Like it was fun. It was good,
Hmm.
benefit of hindsight, of course, but
True. But during the
it's
moment, it was
dude, this
pretty
was
fucking
massive.
yeah,
This was huge. I
awesome.
and, like, I remember I was still really pursuing, graphic design, which the only dose of that I really get now is making the graphics for the episodes we do now,
Hmm.
but, I remember I was really hardcore into that, and, my profile picture on Instagram was his eye, that was my
Ah.
I did that for the little circle. I thought that was so fucking cool. I thought it was a great
Hmm.
idea. I still think it's a great idea. I think that is a lot of what this episode is just fantastic ideas. This might be the greatest example of what the downfall of the last season is in terms of one episode. So much, so many great ideas, all this stuff happening. It just shouldn't have happened in one episode. That's all.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
it shouldn't have happened in one season come season 8. So
No.
that's
This was kind of the first episode where I noticed. Like it even like yeah, 1 through 5 I'm like when does it have that downward trend, Like I don't
yeah, the
really
first
feel it
episode
yet.
wasn't great.
Yeah.
But 2, 3, and 4, and 5, we've been like, "Damn,"
Like whoa.
we've been yeah.
Hmm. And now it's like okay.
And I'm gonna emphasize again, season 8, I don't think it's bad till 4.
I know.
1, 2, and 3 are fucking great.
Everyone loved 3. 3 was like well, I mean the Night King, going. That is the biggest moment in the
Mhm.
show, the battle at Winterfell. But like
The week that episode came out until episode 4, I watched that episode every single night that week.
yeah, I think everyone did. Yeah, everyone like Yeah, it was, you had
The
to.
episode ended, I watched it again. Monday night, I watched it again. Tuesday night, I watched it again. I'm dead ass. I watched that episode every single night
Wow.
because it might be genuinely the best piece of filmmaking in television history. It's fucking insane. And I'm not the authority to say on that, so don't go flaming me for saying that. I know, oh, it was dark. Fucking get a TV. If you can't
Yeah.
afford a TV, I understand. I'm so sorry. I shouldn't make blatant statements like that.
Yeah. But
But if you were watching on a TV and it was dark and you were giving like the person I became during season 8 Game of Thrones when Sunday nights at 8 p.m. came around was not good.
I better not hear a peep. Was like, if anyone spoke a word, I was like, you better shut the what? You better leave the room. You don't understand. Like, yeah, because
I was too.
mm-hmm.
I look back on the way I felt during that and I'm like, that's unhealthy. I
That's
was
just
like,
how into the show we were, though. Like that's
Yeah.
just how encapsulating it was. It was
Like someone would walk out of a room upstairs. One of my brothers would walk out of the room upstairs and I'd be like, you better not say anything. You better not say shit.
Yeah, it's
And I wind up being the hypocrite because I wind up saying more stuff than anybody else in the room, And everyone's like, "Why do you get to talk?" And because I know when to talk. I'm like, I know when to talk. You don't know when to talk.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, yeah, that is true though. That is very true. I mean, I turned into a different animal when Game of Thrones was on. It was
I did.
I needed it was like a fix. Like I needed it. I was like I couldn't at 8 p.m.
will never forget watching this show for the first time in anticipation of season 7. I was, I remember being in class junior year, second semester, just fucking mind racing about Game of Thrones. Nothing else. I don't give a shit what we're talking about in class, bro.
Yeah.
I am focused on what is about to happen with Jon Snow and Daenerys Targaryen. That is what was on my brain. And so I gotta give it credit. I'm gonna give this a 9 enjoyment at least.
Yeah, I think I'm there too. That is the only two that are lower was last episode at an 8.75 and then the first one at an 8. And
I think that's sound. I have enjoyed other episodes more this season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think
a lot of what I just spent time talking about is the way it felt the first time I was watching it, and I think that's important. But this is a rewatch podcast. It is.
We do have the hindsight. We do have all of that with us. So yeah, it does change things a little bit, but I think 9 is still fair though. I mean, it's like when Drogon arrives or whenever, Gendry arrives at the wall and it's like, all right, shit needs to go. From that point, it's pretty freaking good. It just took a little bit to get there, and then getting there was also like getting through Sansa and Arya and some other things, but okay.
Yeah, because we cut back to them after the hunt.
Eesh.
Which is a bizarre editing choice, and maybe it is just to try to splice it up a bit, maybe try to space out a timing thing that didn't feel natural, regardless. Critically, we might be looking at the worst episode of the season.
Episode 1 was a 6.75.
I will say it's very good after a certain point. I don't think we've ever said as many negative things about an episode of this show.
Mm-mm.
And purely from a perspective of, it wasn't like we took issue with an action taken by a character. We're not talking the type of shit that Jaime did in season 4, episode 3.
Mm-hmm.
We're not talking about when he sexually assaults his sister next to his dead child.
Yeah, this is just the
that's
writing
fucked up
room.
On another level. That's a different thing to talk about. We're talking about just stuff that they decided to do that's not fucked up. It's just stupid. It's just dumb. It's just bad.
Yeah. Benjen coming in, kind of dumb.
I appreciate it for Jon. I like that Jon gets to see his Uncle Benjen one last time. It's the idea of seeing him that gets him killed the last time. So it's cool that he's the one who saves him. Again, the concepts they lay out, great. The ideas, fantastic. The execution is not there.
Yeah.
I'd be willing to throw this a 6.
Damn. Yeah, I think because like even like at the end, Amelia Clark does do well, and like Kit Harington does well throughout the whole time, but like they didn't
There's such
really.
a sameness.
Yeah.
Everyone feel, and I blame writing for this. I blame D&D for this. Everyone feels the exact same. There's hardly anything distinguishing the characters,
Hmm.
besides brief interactions.
Yeah,
Um,
I kind of like that. It does. If we give it a 6, it averages to a 7. Um, outright. IMDb gives us a 9. I think people are just thinking of the moment,
it's fresh off.
yeah,
It's the big
the
moment.
moments that's happening. But I think a 7 is actually fair. That's kind of what it feels like. It like it's if we're taking just that end, that's like 9, 7, 5, 10.
Yeah,
Like
that's
this is some of the
975,
best
nine
stuff they're
seven
doing.
five across the board.
But
It takes so long to get there, and getting there was a struggle. Um,
mm-hmm.
like I text you immediately when this episode was over. I was like, "Oh,
D&D wrote this one, huh?
I hadn't even looked."
And it
I went, "D&D wrote this one, huh?" And what sucks is that it's substantially worse written than anything else they've written for the show. This made other stuff we've thought was not good look better.
Yeah. That like we have never had this much to say and this much to pick out on any episode before. And like
We haven't, like they were fantastic at adapting stuff. Even season 6, the episodes they wrote, like The Door, you could make an argument is oddly written, but it still pays off in a big way. They wrote Battle of the Bastards. They wrote The Winds of Winter.
yeah. Like I mean we've always been in the 9s or the high 8s for like critical. Like just because that's how good the show is. They've done
Mhm.
65 episodes in a row where we have yet to be like, "Oh wow, this one's just really disappointing." Like they were not on top of their game. This is not good. 65
Exactly.
episodes in a
This
row.
is 66th episode. Yeah.
Bad number. That's why it's a bad
There you go.
number.
There
Yep,
you go.
blame it on that. No, I blame it on D&D. Here,
Mhm.
yeah, it's just
No,
kind of
but
their fault. But there we are.
yeah, man.
There.
7 out of 10, I think that's fair. It's on the very threshold of my rating scale of what starts to be good. It's not like
Yeah.
it's not great. It's not terrible. It's just
Wow. Yeah.
it's good.
One
It's
of the
solid.
worst episodes that we've talked through, and it's a 7 out of 10 still.
The thing that occurred to me, this is the difference between Game of Thrones and a show like Stranger Things. I've enjoyed Stranger Things. This is a good episode of Stranger Things. This is an exceptionally good episode of Stranger Things.
Mm-hmm.
You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
It's
Like,
just in a
and
different tier of
most
television.
specifically recent seasons, like just the different, like,
Yeah.
and obviously completely different type of show. But I mean, like,
Mm-hmm.
the way that I feel watching this, the excitement, the like, whoa, this is fun. This is cool. This is crazy. That is all that show provides. And it's considered one of like the best shows there is right now, you know? Um,
Yeah.
at least it was at one point. That's kind of changed. But
Mm-hmm. This is. It's just in a different league. It's just.
yeah, like this is one of the worst episodes of Game of Thrones. And compared to most other TV, it's exceptionally well done. Like
Yeah.
it's impressive to say the least. But
Mhm.
man, yeah, I enjoy the show a great deal. And while I will have issues, like I said, we've got 7 episodes left.
Mhm.
We've got 7 episodes left of this show, which is bizarre to think about. Um,
We are getting there. We are getting there, man. It's
as much negative as I might have to say over the course of the next 7 episodes, I'm still 1000% confident this is my favorite show of all time.
oh yeah. Dude, I mean, they could have ended it even worse than they did and it's still already like there's
Yeah.
no show like a single season, probably Westworld. That's going to be tough to beat. Like Westworld
Yeah.
season 1, but as far as a show goes
Andor season
overall,
1.
true. Yeah, show goes overall, this just nothing touches this. It's in a league of its own. I don't think it will ever
Like,
be, but
there are shows that I will grant, beginning to end, this is not the greatest show of all time. The last season prevented that from being the case,
hmm,
which is a shame,
you
which is
think?
a shame.
You think? I guess the show
I
does
do.
probably have to end well, but I still think with how it ended, I can't put
I
any other
mean,
show above
for
this.
6 seasons, it is the greatest show of all time. I have no doubt about that. Like that, and how much you weigh that matters.
Mm-hmm.
The show that I would argue is undoubtedly the greatest show of all time, in my opinion, is The Sopranos. I think The Sopranos is the greatest television show ever. Now, The Sopranos is only 6 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
So if I think the first 6 seasons of Game of Thrones are the greatest television show of all time, how do you weigh that? It is what it is, but
I see. Yeah, and they're off book.
yeah.
They're coming up with this shit
incredibly
on their
difficult
own.
medium,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
incredibly difficult medium, and incredibly difficult medium to compare. Like this is such a unique show. The only other shows you could even begin to kind of compare it with are other fantasies.
House of the
And even
Dragon
then, yeah.
is the other. I don't know. Like I can't really compare it to
And even
many
then,
other
like
shows.
what show is doing this level of politicking mixed
And
in with the fantasy shit,
the
like it's
production value that's here as well. Like it's just I don't know. You don't see that anymore.
you don't
There's
get it.
on
Yeah.
location. We were in Iceland, by the way, north of the wall, which I thought is pretty cool.
Oh,
Most of the of that hunt is in Iceland. So like that's just cool. They're on location. They're in a blizzard probably for some
yeah.
well maybe not, I don't know, but um just
I did not mention this. When it was night, it might have been hard to tell it was night because there's snow everywhere. It's white. But
mhm
the way they're lit during that, they get like this deep blue and golden hue on
mhm
their skin and on their hair and on their clothes and stuff. Thought that
like
was gorgeous.
it
Absolutely
looked
loved it.
good. Like
Um,
the whole
mhm.
episode
No,
looked good. Yeah.
this episode was fantastic to
Oh
look
yeah.
at. So I think that we hammered it pretty hard. All in all, point is, I still like it. I still like it.
Mhm.
But yeah, with that, we will conclude this episode of Winter is Blooming, and we will continue next week with the season 7 finale to bookend another season of Thrones.
Whew, man.
After that, we will be taking a week off of Thrones.
Mhm.
1 week only. It'll be the Monday prior to the Oscars. And that is because we will be doing our very own Penny Bloom Film Awards here. And I'm so very, very excited. We're doing some 2023 catch up, some 2023 homework. I'm revisiting a lot of stuff. And I'm so very, very excited to get to that and to break down, best actor, best actress, best supportings, best cinematography, best picture, like best score potentially. We've got a lot of ideas. We got a lot of stuff we want to talk through, and I'm excited to do that. We're also going to give our top 10 of 2023 as a part of that, our personal top 10s, not what we end up putting for our like little best picture category, which I
Mhm.
imagine will be an amalgamation of the two lists. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, so I'm excited for that. Um, yeah, keep coming back for Wednesday and Friday. We will be continuing our comic book movie journey through film, and I
Mhm.
believe this week is this the week that brings us Guardians of the Galaxy and X-Men Days of Future Past?
That was last week. This
Ah,
week we're on Age of Ultron and Ant-Man now.
Age of
So,
Ultron and Ant-Man, baby. We're wrapping up phase 2
mhm.
of the MCU. That's the conclusion of phase 2 this week. So that's exciting. Exciting stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that project's super fun. We've been having a great time. Um, and I can't wait. I can't wait to wrap up phase 2 of the MCU this week. So keep on coming back, like I said. Um, and I believe that next Wednesday, we'll actually be digging into the Bad Batch a
Mhm.
bit.
That's right.
Season 3 premieres this week, this Wednesday.
Mhm.
And we will be discussing the first 4 episodes as a chunk next Wednesday. So I'm very excited. A lot of stuff going on. We got Thrones, we got comic book movies, we got Star Wars. We're kind of, we did a lot of stuff last year where we expanded our horizons, and it's kind of there's something kind of refreshing about going back to the basics for us, which is
Yeah.
nerd shit. That's fun. That's
Yeah.
fun stuff.
Oh yeah. Star Wars
But
will
yeah,
never
then
be
we're gonna
out.
reinvigorate it with film stuff again a couple Mondays from now. So I love the balance. I just love doing the show. So, yeah, if you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and throw us a like and subscribe. We appreciate you greatly. And if you didn't know we're on YouTube,
Mhm.
we're there. Go ahead. Go ahead, watch us. Listen, it's a lot of fun. You get to watch us mannerisms and faces and all the goodies. It's a
Mhm.
great time. It's a lot of fun. I do a lot of that. I do a lot of physical talking. So I feel like
Yes.
I feel like it's beneficial to be over here.
Mhm.
Yeah, and with that, you could also go to TikTok and follow at Penny Bloom Podcast. We're posting every day, if not every day, almost every day. And I'm going strong with that still. It's been a lot of fun. I've loved doing that. The editing process is extremely fun for me. Finding the clips and splicing them and putting them together, and fun little collaborative effort there. But yeah, a lot of fun over there. Go ahead, head to TikTok at Penny Bloom Podcast. Follow us there. Follow on Twitter at Penny Bloom Pod. Follow on Instagram at Penny Bloom Podcast. Remember to leave a 5-star rate and review wherever you might be listening, and to continue to download. Head to patreon.com/Penny Bloom Pod, where you'll find over 50 hours of exclusive content, all sorts of book reviews, comic book reviews, movie reviews, and the like. I've been trying to write a lot. Again, I feel like I've fallen off that a little bit, so I'm trying to write. Got a
Mhm.
lot of ideas and a lot of stuff I'm trying to write about, and that'll be over there. And along with all sorts of random conversations me and Joe have, and whoever else might be joining us. So for $3 a month, you can support the podcast financially, which is huge because it costs me money and I don't make any off of it unless it's over there. Yeah, with that, I was Colton Robertson. I was joined by Joseph George. Thank you very much, homie.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, and it's always a pleasure to have you. And remember, peace, love, and bloom. And how about my queen?